Hello, everybody. It is a new week, and alas, it is a new podcast. Todd and I were having a bit of a session last week, and we got to talking, we got to thinking. We said to ourselves, "Hey, this is a really cool thing. How we're bringing back commentaries, right? We're doing the commentaries every other week. That's great. We're stoked." That didn't last long because now we're like, you know what? Let's experiment. Let's just do commentaries for a couple few weeks or whatever, right? We're gonna put the old video rot on a pause and we're gonna hit you guys with like 2 commentaries a week minimum, right? I would like to get a wild hair and even do another one if we can, but we're gonna at least do 2 Wednesdays and
We're starting 2 this week, and then we'll do, what, 1 next week? Or are we doing 2 next week?
2.
'Cause don't we do every other week for
That
Fridays?
you d oh, no, Todd's, what do they call that? Todd's, what does Fred Durst say? Cash and checks, his ass can't Todd, we already talked about this. No, I think we gotta go hard, man. We can't
No,
give
that's
them less
fine.
content.
That's fine. No,
We
I'm
can't give
good.
them less because the commentaries are gonna
Well,
take
have they
place.
earned it? I mean, have they given us a like? Have they, subscribed? I
I
mean,
don't
they
think
gotta
so.
earn it.
See, my thing is it's taking the place of video rot, Todd. Now, if we do what you're saying, they're losing content. We don't want that. So we want to like do commentaries for a minute and see how that resonates because it's fun for us. It's fun for me, most importantly. I mean, who cares about you guys? No, I'm just kidding.
I love commentaries, man. I'm sure the people like commentary. I mean, this is our roots. I mean, we start out commentaries, might as well keep going, right?
Oh, look at that. You're even putting every other Friday. False advertising. I want to do every Wednesday. I want to see if we can go the distance. I think we can. I think because I think it has to take the place of all that video rod action.
Okay. Okay.
You know,
I can do it. I'll make it happen. How about that?
all right. And I even if see, I would even like to do a little bit more while I have a little time off. I don't know if Todd's gonna have a little time off, whatever. And I would like to start doing some Tales from the Crypt. I want to go back to the days of having a Halloween blowout. I want to have October exploitation. I really want to just squeeze every drop out of you people as I can. Top and bottom 10 of 1992 when? Oh, so you like that, Dr. Giggles? Right, you talking about the video rot, the top and best in video movies? We did 91 last week. So I have no problem doing that maybe after we do this for a couple few weeks and because we're only 2 guys. We can't do video rot and do a bajillion commentaries. So
No,
let's
I got
but
2 kids to feed and
and I
a small
certainly
time.
wouldn't want to do back-to-back weeks where we do nothing but that, like, type of we kinda have to make it special, but maybe that can be the episode we do when we come back to Video Rot. Basically, what I'm saying is, even if we were doing Video Rock the next 2 weeks, I still don't think we should do that yet. So maybe, like, a few weeks, how about that?
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's do that because I'd like to tackle 92 because I don't, off the top of my head, I don't remember 92, what
yeah.
came out, but I'm sure it was great.
And you may or may not have noticed, I swear we're gonna get to the film here in 2 seconds, that we started putting up polls for all of these. I think that's gonna be the way going forward. It's a lot of fun to get some input. So Todd and I are curating a small cluster of similar types of films, and we're throwing it out there into the ether and letting you guys decide across the socials. Now, for this one, it's obvious, right? The winner was Vampires from John Carpenter. And what was the competition? Oh, Fright Night 2
It was
and
Near Dark.
what was it? Near
Near
Dark.
Dark, yeah.
You'd think any one of those could win, but Vampires like won by a
I
landslide. And
think Gamer Guy wanted Near Dark. He was bitching about that.
I love all of them. And
Mhm.
but I love Vampires, man. I'm actually here for it. And I I've watched both Vampires and Near Dark pretty recently. So like I know both those very, very well. Fright Night 2, I would have had to have rewatched, but
I've never seen Fright Night 2, so I need to watch it still.
yeah, I watched it, about 8 years ago, I remember, because I was in Tucson, Arizona. But anyway, this takes place in, like, the desert, right? Vampires, John Carpenter, we're gonna go ahead and get straight up with it. We did put a link. There is a link in the, chat, and there's a link in the description of the YouTube video if you guys are watching this in post. It's some, like,
Tokyo,
Japanese YouTube or
yeah,
something,
something, yeah.
but it's there. They got picture in picture, so you can pull it up and watch our faces, or you can just watch the flick. It's however you want to do it. Let's go ahead and do a countdown. I think this video starts right before the. Is it Paramount? Who is it?
Paramount, yeah.
Is it Touchstone or Paramount?
Uh, a Touchstone. I think it might be
Touchstone. So
Touchstone. Yeah. Yeah.
right when you push play, it's gonna be pulling up on that logo. Dun-dun-dun-dun. All right, guys. So on 3, 2, 1, play.
Ooh, I need to turn this down. Hold on.
I
How do I turn it down?
There's a little volume bar
Oh,
next to
I
the
found it now. Well, I was in picture in picture, so
yeah, it's like hiding. All right, so guys, I think I watched this movie about a year ago, which is so funny because it feels just like yesterday. That's what
I watched it
happens
a few weeks ago.
that's what happens when you get older though, dude. A year is like last week. The
Yeah,
time just goes by
absolutely.
so fast. But I love this, man. It's got a stellar cast. It's got a great supporting cast. I love James Woods. Dude, I don't care if Hollywood hates him or anybody else hates him. The dude has just too many awesome banger flicks to hate, man. I
And
love
he's
the
so
guy.
funny, man. How can you not like James Woods
He
regardless of,
he's so
whatever?
funny. I think my first experience with James Woods, he touched me when I was a small child. No, I mean, my first experience with James Woods, I think, was The Simpsons when I was a kid.
Mm.
And, because did you see that when he guessed it on The Simpsons?
No, I don't
So
I'm
funny.
not a Simpsons guy.
But it's so funny with James Woods, dude. He's great. And he's gonna do, like, the story of the Quickie Mart. So he goes to Springfield to get in character and do research to work at the Quickie Mart with Apu, and he starts working to get the vibe, and he's, like, preparing for the role. It's so funny. But yeah, so this has got Daniel Baldwin, as you saw.
Yep.
He's the fat Baldwin, as I like to say. I know Alec is fat now too, but he wasn't always fat. So, but back then, Daniel was the fat one. And you may or may not know Daniel from Harley Davidson and the Marlboro Man before he got too fat. They were dilettantes, where he says like a couple of Frankenstein robot lines.
Yeah.
That stupid dude, that heifer had the nerve of going on some TV show. I don't know if it was like a Larry King or he did some like interview. You know what? I think it was like a news channel and he was satelliting in. For some reason, they needed the hot take from Daniel Baldwin about whatever was going on. And they introduced him as stars of such movies as Harley Davidson of the Marlboro Man, and he kind of had to like correct her when he came on the feed, like,
Mm.
I don't like to usually say that one. That's what I would call a B film. I'm
Oh,
like,
come
what
on.
A films have you been in, my man?
Yeah.
I mean, John Carpenter Vampires is a total B film. This is great, dude.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, do you want to? You're fresh in mind. Go ahead and tell us all about James Woods and what he does for a living.
Well, I mean, I was half tanked when I watched it, but,
God dang it!
what?
I just watched it. Oh, I was fucking
He's
tanked.
well, it was a couple months ago. It was yeah.
It was a
Vampire
couple weeks.
Hunter?
Now it's a couple months. Now you must have been really tanked, I guess.
Whatever. I don't know.
Yeah. So, he
He's a
goes
vampire
around, he's
hunter.
basically a vampire hunter, and you got, Daniel Baldwin there, he's his buddy, and, you got James Woods being sleazy James Woods, which is fantastic. Did this just freeze?
Mine didn't. It's
Oh, yeah, it's good.
is
Mine
yours
froze, I didn't even
froze?
push stop.
That's weird.
Yeah.
So
Anyway,
basically, this is like a vampire western. Um, I think Carpenter kind of wanted to do that with the whole thing. I don't know if he's a big western guy, but he just wanted to do something different.
I
Because
think John Carpenter is. I mean, if you listen to any John Carpenter interview, he talks about I mean, he's just his huge influences are 50s music and stuff like that and 60s music. There's just no way he wasn't influenced by westerns. Those were the big movies of his like childhood, his heyday.
yeah, yeah, and I think it'd be cool if he just made a regular western too. I mean,
I don't. I
um,
think it probably turned out to be ass. I think it has to be John.
well,
I think if
nowadays,
John Carpenter tried to make a legit western, it would be a lot like Sam Raimi doing a western like he did with Quick and the Dead, which is it's okay,
I
but
don't know if I ever saw that.
it just doesn't feel like a legit western to me. It feels like if Sam Raimi did a western in the 90s. It just feels a little I don't know. It almost kind of feels like as if Eli Roth were to do a western, where he wouldn't
Ty
be able to
West did a
shake.
western. I still haven't saw it, but
Oh,
I
yeah,
mean,
what was
a
that?
lot of people like that. Uh, something violence. I don't remember what it's called, but Ty West did one, and some people actually really like it. So, Valley of Violence or something like that.
So I actually have to acknowledge this movie shot really well. I love these shots, dude. Like these the way they're framing him and these are great
It
shots. I would get that
yeah, but
eight
I
by
mean,
10 sign right there.
a lot of these scenes are so cheesy though, because they use a lot of, like, their transitions are
I love
I
that,
mean,
dude.
it's so 90s, dude. I mean,
I would
it's
love to
like
get that 8 by 10 of, like, his just cropped up and his glasses.
yeah.
I might be a few seconds behind everybody because my thing stopped for, like, 2 seconds, but
No, you're good. We're right about there.
so the cool thing about this is they don't waste any fucking time. See all
Yeah.
these people, they're about to get slaughtered.
Mhm.
Like, legit. They're gonna go in here and try and take care of the business, and they are just gonna, like, walk into a fucking shitstorm, and they're gonna get slaughtered. Like,
Mhm.
I think it's just him and Daniel Baldwin, and does anybody else make it out of this? This intro?
No, I don't think so.
Hey, so I don't know that guy's name, but, like, you notice a lot of these, like, bit player pretty much anybody that ends up
The
being in
bigger guy
Sons
with
of
a
Anarchy.
cigarette, that guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been in
Yeah.
some other stuff.
Yeah, but anybody that was, like, in Sons of Anarchy, that's just, like,
Yeah.
a show full of what's his names that are in everything.
Well, I think Kurt Russell was supposed to play the part of James Woods' part
Are you
originally.
sure? I think they say that about every John Carpenter movie that Kurt Russell doesn't star in. It's like, "Oh, John Kurt Russell
Mm,
was supposed to be in it."
I thought I saw that on IMDb. Let me
You know what? I Kurt Russell makes everything great, but I'm kinda glad it's James Woods because
I am too, man.
we would have never had another think of this is the last good John Carpenter movie.
Well,
It
this was the only hit in the '90s for John Carpenter, like,
was it a hit, though?
in the box office.
Was it really a hit?
Yeah, it's the only one that made money.
Wait, it made more than In Mouth of Madness?
Yeah, yeah, it didn't bomb.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, just because it made a little bit more than what it cost doesn't mean it wasn't a hit. It was a hit. It's gotta make 2.5 times. I mean, he did Ghost of Mars after this, so I don't know if that means it did well or
Well,
but
yeah.
I think it depends on who you ask. I think a lot of people think his last good film was They Live.
Well, he did Escape from LA, which, I mean, this is a lot
Nobody
better than
likes. I
that.
like Escape from LA. Yeah, who
Um,
knows? Maybe did that come
he did
before or after this?
this it came before, I believe.
Yeah, I think it was this,
The Village of the
Vampires.
Damned,
Oh, yeah,
The
the
Mouth of
TV movie.
Madness. He had quite a few, man.
But In Mouth of Madness was like an early '90s movie. That was like this first movie in the '90s, I'm pretty sure. Alright, so they're gonna like I said, they're gonna walk into a shitstorm. We gotta give, props to Silver from Karate Kid 3 as the bad guy in this.
Yeah.
All he had to do is he just had to, like, ditch the rubber band in his ponytail, and he was ready for set.
No, he's great, man.
Silhouette, what would North Korea look like in Escape from, LA World? I don't know, but it's funny because
Hmm.
about, um I'd say about 12 years ago, I wrote a fan fiction Rambo 5 script before there was a Rambo 5, and it was about basically, Rambo going to break it into North Korea for an extraction mission.
Well, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, it was loosely based on, like, that one of these people that went to North Korea and got locked up because they fucking looked at somebody the wrong way. It's, like, one of these tourists, and it just started off like that, then from there, it just became your generic Rambo plot, like, Troutman was like,
Yeah.
yeah, like, "We need you. We gotta get this kid. He's an important figure of this son of this fucking rich ambassador," whatever. And and I literally, like, I had the whole thing written out. They drop this crew of ragtag guys, not unlike Rambo 4, kinda, like, take Rambo out in a boat, and he has to, like, swim, like, 5 miles from the coast, and only Rambo can do it, even though he's old. And, yeah, he pretty much takes down the entire fucking Kim Jong Un regime, dude.
Did you ever see The Interview, man? That movie's funny.
Yeah, that movie's really funny. And I wrote that before the interview,
Mm.
and I saw the interview, I'm like, "Damn it, man," because I thought it was so cool. I'm like, nobody does North Korean movies.
Yeah.
It's like all propaganda, but nobody does it. And then, it was a few years after that, oh, they actually made the interview, and I'm like, "Wow." And I thought it was cool, man. I don't think we, attacked those fuckers enough.
That's funny, man.
Yeah, last good, Doctor Giggles, In the Mouth of Madness was the last good one for yeah, I mean, I think there's different jumping off points for different people. Like I said, I think they might leave it in the '80s with They Live. I used to think that In the Mouth of Madness was kind of that bridge point. Either that's where you got on or that's either where you got off or it was the one before it. I always loved In the Mouth of Madness,
It's a
but
9 out of 10. I love it, man.
but I did kind of acknowledge to myself that, you know what? I could see how this is a crossroads for some people. It is kinda it does have this weird '90s stink that I love, but it does kinda like it does represent the '90s John Carpenter really well, though.
Okay,
And
I can go over the '90s John Carpenter when you
well, hold
get a
on, hold
second.
on, hold on,
Okay.
but I would argue that this is because when I was younger, back when I was watching In the Mouth of Madness, I saw this once on, like, Cinemax in middle school, and, I don't know, it didn't do a whole lot for me back then. I don't know what it was. I don't know if I was in it all the way. I'm not sure what it was, but I kind of always passed it off based off one viewing. And then when I watched it later, I'm like, dude, this is an awesome B movie. What the
Mhm.
fuck was I thinking? It's so good. So this is definitely the last John Carpenter. So he has a for me, he has a undisputable streak that was all through the late '70s and '80s. And then there's that streak continues for me personally all the way up until this one. Ghost of Mars, I still can't find an
I like
appreciation
Ghost of
for.
Mars.
You're I mean, one of these days, I'm gonna rewatch it again. You love that Anthrax soundtrack,
It's
huh?
not good. It's not good, but it
They
I always thought it was fun.
yeah. And then, but yeah, and then so but even if you don't like Ghost of Mars, this he did that and he did The Ward, which is terrible, but so
Yeah.
that's not that bad. And then in between those, he did those 2 Masters of Horror shorts, which are both great. Cigarette
Yeah.
Burns and
Cigarette Burns
Pro-Life
is awesome, yeah. I
and
never saw
Pro-Life.
Pro-Life.
Oh, Pro-Life's good too. They're both
Mm.
great. They're both great. So, I think he's still got a great streak about him, but,
What
and
about, so
I
90s Carpenter, going back to that, what about I never saw Memoirs of the Invisible Man.
I saw that when I was a little kid, dude. I remember seeing that, like, when I was elementary school, so I need to rewatch that, but that's definitely a Carpenter for hire flick. It's like, I don't even think they were really advertising, like, John Carpenter's memoir, it was a total, you know, director for hire thing, and kinda like the Elvis movie, but I would like
That's
to
pretty
watch that
good.
again.
What about Village of the Damned? Were you a fan of that?
I saw that when that was a TV movie, and I saw that when it first aired, 'cause if I'm not incorrect, I think that aired in '96. I might be a l
95.
95.
95,
Okay, I was
yeah.
gonna say '95. So, I remember when that aired in '95, I was living in Kentucky, back in that small town where I told you guys I rented Haunted Ween, and, I
Oh,
had
yeah, yeah.
Mandela affected myself, like, did that movie exist? Because I moved out of Kentucky and no one's ever heard of it, until now, by the way, and
Kinda
it
like
turns out that the
Shazam. Yeah.
but huh?
Kinda like Shazam.
Well, no, the thing is it's because later on I found out that it was a shot on video movie filmed in
Mhm.
Bowling
Yeah.
Green, Kentucky, in a small town, and it was just circulating in the around the state
Yeah.
in
So
like
everybody was
mom
talking about okay.
yeah, mom and pop video shops, which explains why I was in my small town mom and pop video shop because it was and then now, like, who's putting out Haunted Wayne? There's one it's not Severin, is it?
No, it's not Severin, who puts out those records that
Is
we
it
like?
Synapse?
Terrorvision, I think.
Oh, they're putting out the film?
I Isn't it Terrorvision?
I don't know, but it blew me away that this little film that nobody knew existed. I kept trying to talk about it, to the point where I had convinced myself it wasn't real, or I couldn't, or I convinced myself that I had the name wrong or something. Like it has to be something else. Like because I would Google it and it would never come up, and I'm like, well, maybe I'm not thinking of the right thing. So I'm sure it's trash. I'm sure it's ass, but I kind of want to do a commentary for it.
Yeah, I wanna see that, that's been on my list too.
Friday 13th knockoff. It's famously the first film where I ever got a stiffy to.
Really?
Oh, yeah, yeah, I remember asking, my mom, like, I was like we used to rent VHSs at this mom and pop shop right across the road, and my grandmother would send us up there. Just small town, totally innocent. This is pre-Columbine. Like, there's nothing that could hurt us. And we'd walk up there, and she'd be like, "Rent something for us, rent something for you," that whole type of thing. They would let us. Everybody knew my grandma in this small town, so they would let us walk out of there with like R-rated movies. They didn't care.
Oh, yeah,
It
yeah.
was so and I'm, like, in the 4th grade or whatever, and, so I would rent, like, something like Happy Billy Madison or something, like, something a comedy because my grandmother loved comedies and stuff like that, and, but then I would always go for the horror section for me, and I would try and rent the sleaziest looking thing because I knew it was bound to have boobs. And it was
Yeah.
so funny because like these people would just like say hi to your grandma for me, like I will, as I'm like going off with it to get like stiffies. And I rented Haunted Ween, and dude, I remember watching that. I've told this story in the past, so forgive us if you've heard it somewhere in the last 13 years. I remember sitting down and there's a scene because it's in the woods, it's at like camp or something. It's very much a ripoff of Friday the 13th. And except I think the third act is in like a haunted house, like a
Mm,
haunted house attraction, which is really
yeah.
cool. But I remember these guys in the woods and they're by a creek, and all of a sudden, very forced and arbitrarily, makes no sense to the plot. A raft comes down, floating down the river, and it's just full of naked, topless chicks. And I'm
Mm.
like, what universe is this? And I'm just like, and I remember like an idiot, I walk upstairs and I think my mom or somebody was probably like wrapping Christmas gifts. And I was like, Mom, why does my dinghy get bigger every time I see a naked lady? And she's like, "That's a question for your dad when he gets out of prison." Okay.
Oh, shit.
And now go downstairs and enjoy your stiffy material. And like they just let me keep going. You know what I mean? Like they weren't like, "What are you watching?" No, no, take it. No, just like, "All right, off you go." As you were, son.
I think that's why I watched Christmas Vacation so much when I was a kid because of the girl with the "Can't see the line, can you, Russ?" That
Oh
girl.
yeah. That did it for you. Just pushing plus pause on
No,
that.
I think it was the, pool scene.
Oh,
You
okay.
remember where
Yeah, 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 of
Clark's
course.
fantasizing with the
Yeah,
window and everything? Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, Ghost of Mars was I'll watch Ghost of Mars again. We'll see. But I don't expect to like it, but it's all right. I still
It's
love
not
John
great.
Carpenter.
I mean, Jason Statham's in it. You're bound to like it now.
No, I don't think so. Jason Statham did some shithole movies in the day, back in the day. But yeah, so where are we at? So you don't remember any of this really?
Who?
Are you shitting? You? Who else?
What?
Mr.
What, the
Tudu.
Vampire Hunters? No, not really.
You don't remember anything about this movie.
No, I remember it.
So what's going on right now?
Well, they're basically just hanging out with hookers, and then the vampires are gonna come and just tear them to shreds.
Okay. You pass for now.
Yeah.
But yeah, all these guys are gonna get fucked up. Let's see. I Silhouette, I don't know. She made you watch Prawn. No. I don't know, man. It was just one of those eye roll things. Like, just off you go, you little scamp. And I'm walking out. I'm pitching a tent, probably. Okay.
Oh,
A
okay.
fucking little elementary school dick, dude.
Alright, that's enough.
All right. Hey,
Don't
Matt, what's
clip
up?
that.
Is this the one? It's like, I got a little dick. It's pathetic. No, I'm just kidding. Matt, is this the one with James Woods, the one and only
It
dude?
is.
James Woods is you know what? I think you got to put the politics aside, man. He's one of the greatest actors we've ever had. I think it's a shame he's pretty much he
I
doesn't
mean,
act anymore because he's cancer to the but he's dude, he is so charismatic. And he's just not built for this era because if you watch, he's always James Woods.
yeah,
Look, he's a sleazeball in
he
this
can get any woman. I mean,
in the movies, maybe.
no, I think in real life too, dude. I mean, look at the guy. The guy is so smooth, dude. He's like butter.
But if you watch a film, he's got so many movies that are overlooked and underappreciated, and I love coming across one that I've never seen. Like I just put The Onion Fields on my list that has him and Ted Danson in it from
Mm,
1979. He's in so many movies, man. And
that he is.
watch another flick. There's a movie called Cop I got to watch a few years ago for the first
Yep.
time. I loved it. I loved it. It's one of those great, wow, this is I don't want to call it a B film because it was definitely a theatrical major motion picture studio release for the day, but clearly it didn't do well and it kind of got buried in like cable TV or something, but it was so good. And James Woods, he's supposed to be our protagonist, yet he's a crooked cop that fucking abuses and treats his wife like shit. He's got no redeeming qualities.
Mhm.
It's great.
No, he was also in, a lot of TV movies, which I don't know. I like TV movies, so I'd like to check some of these out. Uh, In Love and War, he's in, you said Cop, he's in,
Hey,
uh,
somebody said Hercules. I love when he played Hades in Hercules, dude. He was so funny.
he's in, The Getaway, He's in The Specialist. I forgot he's in The Specialist.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, he's not the main guy, but he's in The Specialist.
Casino.
Dude, she's
Good
giving the
part.
she she's getting mounted by Silver, dude. That's look at that. He's slick, dude. Silver slick. He's doing that foreplay.
Uh,
He's a good-looking vampire, man. He creeps me out.
yeah, no, I thought he
He's
did a
tall,
solid
he's
job too.
intimidating. I mean, this is doing it for me. Todd, why does my
No.
dinghy get bigger every time I watch Silver?
Oh my
Uh,
gosh. Well, you're watching Cobra Kai then too, aren't you?
no, I'm over that shit.
You're not watching the new season?
Maybe I will eventually, but I'm not doing this half season bullshit. I'll wait till
It's
it's all
it's
done.
not yeah, it's not great, but I mean, it's mindless entertainment.
This is so funny, guys. We're hold on. Silhouette. Grandma wanted you stiff before you rubbed her feet.
Oh my god.
He remembers the story about me having to get rub my grandma's feet with lotion, dude. Her
Oh,
hard
this
ass
is
like
awesome, sorry.
what?
This part's awesome.
Okay.
Rips him in half, dude.
Dude, every time okay, you know what I found out it is? My video paused again. Every time I click on a comment and bring it up to the screen, the picture in picture pauses. Isn't that weird?
That is weird. No, this is the ridiculous part, dude, where all these cross dissolves, dude, where they have the vampire going through the room. It looks so cheap, dude. You can't.
That's the 90s stink.
I know. I
So
mean, the
you
special effects look awesome, though.
gosh, I mean, you might be like 10 seconds ahead of me now with the 2 stops I had, but yeah, so like he's answering the door for Silver right now. That's where I'm at.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's got a 90s stink about it, but I love it, dude. I think it's really
No,
cool.
it's
It's
cool.
part of the charm.
Silver's taking the machine gun bullets.
Hey, it's got some practical effects there, dude, when he's
That was
split
a
in
pr
half.
and
Pretty cool.
this was cut by the MPAA because they wanted to give it an NC-17.
Wow.
So,
I like the ed oh, so you don't like all the crossfading in the edits?
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of a 90s that is kinda weird, isn't it? Not a big fan of that
Yeah.
because
It
it's
just
dep
makes it look cheap, dude.
well, it's also depriving us of the action. It's like they're
For a
speeding
movie,
up, like,
yeah.
just show him demolishing everybody. Like, why are we it's like it's almost it's insinuating the passage of time.
Yeah.
And what's taken and it's not really time passing because James Woods is just now coming to save the day. It's
Yeah.
really yeah, it is really weird. They're using it, but time isn't passing. But I think it's cool, dude. What is James Woods doing? Get off your ass. Oh, jeez. It's just the hooker. Who cares? Yeah, run away.
Did he bite you?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
so he
pretty
takes one
cool.
of the hookers with him.
Yeah, you're ahead of me, so that's all right.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's fine. I've seen it. Just that's okay. I'll just have to. I'll go off your commentary.
That's the one Silver was, having fun with in the on the bed.
What's what is your timestamp at right now? And I'll see if I can jump ahead a little bit.
Um,
What's your exact timestamp?
if I go back to tab, will it stop it? Hold on,
No,
let me
don't
see.
worry about it. Just I'm not too far behind. We'll just roll it. Let me see.
23:26.
It's fine. It's fine.
That's my timestamp, 23:26.
I'll recalibrate if it stops again, but I'm not going to worry about it
Yeah.
right now. Uh, wait, I have to get back to what I was saying here. Um, yeah, that's so funny that you remembered the feet comment, and yeah,
What,
trauma.
rubbing your grandma's feet, dude? I used to have to rub my mom's feet all the time with lotion, dude.
Yeah. My grandma punished me and my brother, dude. The one she hated us, and she'd make us like while she was watching her stories or whatever, she'd be in a fucking moo weighing more than a fucking house, and we'd have to like rub between her Fred Flintstone feet. It
Oh,
literally like
yeah, yeah, we do
she'd
that, yeah.
drive in a car with her feet, dude, like Fred Flintstone. They were rock hard, callous and corns, dude. She's like, get in there real good. Like, oh, like I still remember the sound of the squishing lotion, like going between the crevices of
Oh,
toes.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Mm.
It's gross, dude. Sometime
Yeah.
when I'm beating it, dude, I fucking get flashbacks. I'm like, "I can't." I'm reminded of the feat. Absolutely terrible. Um,
I think everybody had to do that with their family.
Doctor Giggles, they used to let me watch heavy metal when I was like 8. It was less a big deal back then, I think. Yeah, you're probably right. Dude, heavy metal was blew my mind the first time I saw that. Absolutely blew my mind. I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't think it's a very good movie. I especially watch now as an adult, I don't think it's great, but dude, it's I imagine like the source material is a lot cooler, like with the books and the old magazines or whatever, but I loved it. I loved watching that when I was a kid. And that yeah, well, I think I'm misremembering. I don't know why I'm thinking like they played that on Sci-Fi late at night and actually included the nudity, but it had to have been a movie channel. Matt, like Family Guy says, you've got James Woods. Oh yeah, Straight Talk with Dolly Parton. That's right.
Oh, yeah.
It's a total mom movie.
And, of course, he's great in Videodrome, but, I mean, that's
Yeah, it's a given. Oh, we've never done Videodrome, have we?
I think we've done Videodrome,
Oh,
I
yeah,
wanna
I think
say.
you're right. We have. Let's do it 5 more times.
Okay, so here, the opening weekend box office, it took 9.1 million, was the highest of John Carpenter's movies, beating Escape from LA at 8.9 million.
Oh, what
So,
did?
yeah.
Sorry.
So this made 9.1 opening weekend,
Okay. Yeah, that's a
and Escape
modest.
from
That's a
LA made 8.9.
considering the budget. That is a modest, good first week.
Yeah.
There's no way it was number one with that, but it was probably,
No, no.
but definitely mod. What did it do total gross?
Um, let me go to Wiki for that.
Silhouette. I'm glad I could entertain you with my childhood trauma. Yeah. So another huge. What do you guys? I still think most people don't like Escape from LA, but I've always been an apologist for it. There's something about it that is extra 90s stinky, but I just love Kurt Russell so much, and I love Kurt Russell in that character that I could just watch. I could watch anything with Snake Plissken. It could be Snake Plissken taking a dump, right? And I'd be like, you know what? I'd probably find something to say about it.
So this movie made 20 million.
Oh,
It's
that's not. It had a drop off. What was the
or
budget?
it's 20.3 million, and
What?
its budget was 20 million. So yeah, made
That's a
its money
bomb.
back.
That's not a hit, Todd.
Well, compared to Escape from LA,
No. And what was the worldwide? Was that the worldwide?
that's domestic,
What's the worldwide?
20.3. It doesn't say on
It
here.
doesn't say. Well, I
No.
hope it did a little more worldwide because if it just made the money back, that's not a hit at all. Because that doesn't account for
Uh,
I think usually they don't include
what a
advertising and shit
gross
like
in
that.
the United States. Stayed the film was a massive it was a massive success overseas, particularly in Japan. Pulled in over 20 million.
Yen?
4 point or 42 million on home video rental and
Yeah, so
purchase
if you
sales.
account for all that stuff, yeah, it was a hit and it
Yeah,
made its money
it
back.
doubled,
But
doubled it,
But
yeah.
when they see that a movie makes a lot of money on home video, I don't know if that helps the case of, "Hey, let's keep putting his movies back in theaters." I
Yeah,
used
I don't know. I'm curious to see what Ghost of Mars did in
There's
theaters.
no way it did good, dude.
Was it in
There's
theater? I don't even remember it in theaters,
Ghosts of
dude.
Mars was following Escape from LA, and Escape from LA didn't do well. I'm pretty sure it didn't do
I
very
just remember Ghost of Mars on VHS renting that. Yeah, that, $28 million budget made 14 million box office. That was a complete flop.
Yeah, no, it's done, and then after that, you had John Carpenter doing Masters of Horror and doing The Ward with Amber Heard, which is absolutely atrocious.
Let me see what Escape from LA what hit 96. Oh Jesus. A $50 million budget made 42 million. Okay.
What
So
was
yeah,
that, LA?
yeah,
Yeah, so it was a bomb.
that
Tank.
was a bomb too. So this was
Why they give him
modest.
why they give him so much damn money for Escape from LA?
50 million bucks. I know,
Where
right?
did that money go? Actually, better to say because it's like that movie looks cheap as hell. It's like everything's shot behind like a blue screen or whatever. It looks really cheap. It's just part of the charm of it,
Well,
I guess.
you
But
gotta pay for Stacy Keisha and Peter Fonda, dude. I mean,
I
The big
guess.
names there.
Bruce Campbell's got his cameo.
Yeah.
Pam Grier's in it as a
Mhm.
transvestite, or she might be a transsexual. I don't know. Let's see. If Snake was in Mortal Kombat, what would his finishing fatality be? His finishing fatality? Um, I don't know. He'd probably have to something to do with the basketball, playing basketball for his life. Hitting that full court shot. I don't know. Maybe he could take off his explosive necklace thing and put it on somebody else and have it blow up.
They should put Jack Crow in Mortal Kombat, dude. That'd be cool.
Jack Crow's a great name, by the way. It's
Yeah.
just it's so bad that it's good because it just seems like the kind of thing like he thought John Carpenter thought about when he's on the toilet. Like, oh, God, I don't know what to call this guy. It almost feels like the placeholder name, like when you're writing a script. Like I'll change the names later.
Mhm.
I mean, I do that. I think a lot of people probably do that. Just kind of put placeholders to get from point A to point B, and then you final. And he's like, you know what? He probably just never changed it. This guy's Jack Crow.
Yeah, so the, makeup special effects is Greg Nicotero,
Mhm.
so, I
It's
mean,
great. It's really
yeah.
good. Dr. Giggles, I don't know what all this Escape from New York hate is all about between you and Riverman. I'm not even a big fan of New York, so LA, wow, it was bad. I love Escape from New York, dude.
I'm not a huge fan of Escape from New York at all.
I will it's a definitely a weird egg because it's an
It's
action
boring,
movie with
dude.
no action.
It's not action, yeah.
It's an action movie with no action.
Mhm.
Like you literally have the ticking time bombs, the action beat. You got the action hero and Snake. He's got whether whichever movie you're watching, whether it's the poison in his veins or the explosive around him. It, it's an action movie, and he's got to extract like the president's daughter or whatever, or the president in the case of the first one. Eh, I don't know. But it doesn't have a lot of action. But he's just so damn good in the role. Call me Snake.
Okay, so here it is. The MPAA took issue with some of the film's over-the-top violence, threatening to give the film an NC-17 rating unless some of the gore was cut. Ultimately, about 20 seconds of footage was cut from the film.
I
Um,
Isn't that wild, by the way, that
yeah,
we can get an NC-17 rating for gore and violence?
yeah,
You'd think it would be sex that pushes that over, but I think if you see one decapitated head, who cares
they
if
just
you see
showed
another
2,
one?
yeah.
And
Um,
it's kinda like how with the PG-13, you're allowed the one F-bomb. Like, if you're gonna say one F-bomb, what's the difference? To me, I think it's more potent when there's only one F-bomb in a movie because it's like, "Whoa." It's like when you watch Army of Darkness and he says that one F-bomb. Yeah, get the fuck away from me. It's just like it hits you like a ton of bricks. Whereas you just become numb to it if they're saying it every other word. We just got done getting Deadpool. Deadpool and Wolverine came out. And it's the highest grossing built R-rated movie of all time already. And that movie's just balls to the wall violence.
yeah.
There's no sex. It's just balls to the wall violence. And I'm like, I don't see how it's any different. And the only thing people might say, well, the violence is cartoony. I think this is cartoony. This isn't
It's
Tasha
cartoony.
Miike. This
It
isn't
still
like
looks
aborting fetuses with bamboo shoots.
yeah.
To me, this is by
It's
the way,
comic book, yeah.
I'm a little behind you guys, but with the exploding motel,
Mhm.
I watched the making of that's on the Shout. I
Okay.
have the Shout releases, and you can tell James Woods really, really loved making this movie. He's like, I've always wanted to do a Western.
Yep.
He's like, and I love doing this. I love playing Jack Crow. And he was talking about this shot. He's like, I loved walking away from that motel and it blowing up. And I could just feel it was real, baby. He's like, I could feel it blowing behind. It's like, I've never gotten to do this kind of thing before.
I never got the Blu-ray. I'm waiting for the 4K, so
Yeah, I got it a couple years ago. I like it so much. I might double dip. I don't know.
so funny fact, the critical response. So the critics said that this appeared on the best and the worst of the year list, which is
I could see
crazy.
that. I could see that. I
And
could
some
see how
some
people
people
would think that
some people
I
loved it.
the thing is it's a B movie. It's a total B
Yeah,
flick, but
yeah.
it's an amazing B flick, and I could see how people could construe B as bad, but not me. I think it's really really good.
It's
I
fun,
get
man.
why someone might hate it, but I don't know, man. I think it's all about your characters, man. That's usually what sinks or swims a lot of flicks, man. I remember. when Prometheus came out, because we got that new Alien movie coming out, so it's on my mind. Prometheus had a lot of merit, I think, but the thing that separated it from like still the original Alien or even Aliens is you didn't give a I hate the characters in Prometheus suck.
Yeah, yeah.
The movie itself, like it's there's a lot going on, but dude, I don't remember any of those fucking characters. You don't give a shit about any of them. And so you can have a schlocky movie like John Carpenter's Vampires that's kind of telling stories that we've seen before, and it's a little hokey. But dude, it's got James Woods, dude. He's so great in it.
Mhm.
And yeah, Kurt Russell would have worked too. That's why I love Escape from New York. I don't care if it is kind of slow. I don't care if the second one is just beyond stupid. I could watch them fucking whittle wood, you know?
So this was based off the novel, so the author was saying that, it contained a lot of the dialogue, but none of the plot. So,
Oh, that's
yeah,
interesting.
he said he liked it, but yeah, he didn't like that fact that
What's the plot that we're
I
missing?
I don't know. I didn't read the
Some
novel.
bullshit like love stories, dude. I don't care
Yeah,
about
if
that.
he could've, it probably was, right?
Yeah. I always want to like go and read all these books that make movies that I like,
I
but I'll
do
never
too,
get
I
around
just don't
to
have
it.
time.
I don't read books, guy. I don't read. I
Yeah,
haven't read a book in I don't know how many years.
yeah.
And you get to a certain point and you just have to make a choice. There's only so much time in a day. I've
Yeah,
got like a couple of hours a day to myself, and I'd rather
with
watch a movie or
kids.
something. Huh?
So wait till you have kids.
Oh,
But yeah,
you still make a couple hours for yourself a day, even
yeah,
if it's
I
in
well, I have
bed.
to.
That's what I'm saying.
You have to stay up until
But that's me with or
the
without
witching
kids.
hour.
That's
Yeah,
me
yeah.
with or without kids. I still do that. But like if I'm sacrificing my sleep and I'm gonna feel just shittier the next day for it, I can't read a book in that precious time. I have
No,
to watch a
no,
movie or
I'd
sometimes
pass
I
right
sometimes
out
I
if
just
I
like to
read a
go on
book
YouTube and
too.
get caught up on current events and news,
Yeah.
and I just you know,
Yeah, I'd fall right asleep.
dude, I would pay good money to have James Woods kiss my hand. Just kidding.
Have you seen any of the, sequels to this?
This is he looks
The
like what's his face?
Vampires Los Muertos
No, I've never seen those. I still
or
never seen
Vampires
Dust
The
I've never seen Dusk
Turning?
Till Dawn sequels. I've had the Dusk Till Dawn sequels. I know they can't be good, but
They're kinda like this,
I've
honestly.
had them in my
Like,
watch list forever. I wanna watch the 2 with Robert Patrick, uh,
that one's okay.
and I don't wanna watch the 3 with John Bon Jovi.
I don't remember that one, but I remember the one with Robert Patrick.
It's in my list, and I still feel like I need to watch it, and if it's at least this quality, I'll watch it. Because
Maybe we'll have to do that for a commentary, that'd be kinda cool.
I know in theory the straight to video still exists and it's streaming and all it's what it is now, but it's not the same. I miss the days of straight to video and it was legit. You'd go to Best Buy and there was legit movies that were just on videotape. Like,
Oh,
what is
yeah,
this?
yeah,
And those they're not all good, right? We've watched a few of them on like Video Rot and other
all
things.
the time, yeah.
There's some bad ones. But there is something a little bit more charming about even though I acknowledge it's no different, dude. Like that Robert Patrick movie we watched, Zero
Mhm.
Tolerance, it's as generic and shitty as probably like a modern day Netflix, straight to Netflix crap. It's probably like apples and apples, kinda, but there's just something about the straight to video I dig, man. I don't
Oh, we don't get that quality anymore for straight to video, I don't think.
sometimes it blew you away how good the quality
Yeah,
was.
yeah.
There's some movies I would love to do on here, but I just don't know if anybody would care to see them. I was blown away. Who put it out? It might be Vinegar Syndrome. Did Vinegar Syndrome put out Lover's Lane? I
I think
think it's Vinegar.
It was Arrow. It was
Was
Arrow
it
that put
Arrow?
that out. Yeah, yeah.
Lover's Lane was a straight to video, produced by this studio called Two Left Shoes. And they would play their movies. Two Left Shoes might have been in cahoots or had a deal with Showtime, and they would play their movies on Showtime, I know, but I always found them straight to video. And that shitty company, man. They put out Lover's Lane, which I didn't really care for back in the day, but we had a copy of it. But I remember being of quality. It was like Anna Faris's first movie. And it was kind of like I Know What You Did Last Summer, but it was like at an overlook, right? Lover's Lane, a peak, and they did another movie called Heist. It might have been called The Heist, but
Mm.
Heist with Get this: Ice-T, David Faustino, and Luke Perry.
Oh, it's a killer
Sounds like a
cast, man.
recipe for just
That's a great cast.
euphoria, and it's awesome.
Mhm.
It's like it's so budget and cheap, but it's so good.
I am very surprised you haven't seen From Dusk Till Dawn 2
No, I still have
because
it's literally been on my list for 20 years.
it's directed by Scott Spiegel, dude.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, the Evil Dead and
Evil
Evil
Dead guy,
Dead
the
2.
producer.
Yeah,
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 yeah. Maybe you're giving me the push I need to watch it tonight. It's just there's so much shit to watch,
yeah.
and it just always kind of goes to the back burner. And there's so many times where I have close calls where I'm like, all right, it's time to watch it, and then something happens with some of these movies where internet goes down or the app's acting up or the player's acting up or the wife wakes up and she doesn't want to listen to a shitty van or whatever. There's something that happens. Everybody's got those movies where you've
No,
tried.
absolutely. Yeah.
Thomas Rowan, someone to care for, to be there for. I have James Woods.
We love him. We love James Woods. He's a national treasure. Thanks for listening, Thomas.
Big Thomas is in here all the time, man. You're talking to him like he's a first timer. Like, hey,
Sorry,
first
Tom.
time caller.
Sorry, Thomas. Sorry,
Tom's
Thomas.
in here all the time. Get with
Oh.
the program. Hey, Dr. Giggles, Big Trouble in Little China was only time it worked for me when John Carpenter was over the top cheesy on purpose. I can see that. It's probably the best he's done with it for sure. Because that's a classic as well. I have that. I have the steel. Remember, I was pitching off all those like steel books with variant covers from. I've still got that, and I haven't
Mhm.
sold that yet, but I got it listed. But I don't have that one because I wait for that one to come out in 4K because it's still not.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not going to open this one because it's still not open, so I can get a
They're
few
they're
bucks
gonna
for it.
release everything and
Oh yeah, and
who's
I'm
a
just
gnat,
waiting.
dude?
So there's no
Sorry.
reason for me to open it.
Yeah.
Hey, Silhouette, thanks for joining us, brother. Yeah, have fun
Oh,
working tomorrow.
for that rump.
Well, yeah, Daniel, he must work out. It's like a fucking rump roast, that fat ass. Yeah, later. Let's see. Yeah, and I feel like these movies, even if you've never seen this movie, you always know there's going to be like that plot beat where somebody in the group was bit in secret.
Yeah.
They all with a zombie or a vampire. Every movie with something like that where it involves some sort of infection, there's always the guy that's been hiding it, you know?
Well, this movie just screams HBO Cinemax. I mean, this was on there a million times.
That's where I saw it.
So,
Yeah, I
yeah.
saw it in the 90s. Dude, once again, man. Todd, why does my dinghy get bigger whenever I see a naked when I see a fat Daniel Baldwin like on top of a when I see a beach whale on top of a pretty naked lady?
Who's your favorite Baldwin?
I've never liked any of the Baldwins, but I
You
think
don't
if
like
I
Billy Baldwin, dude?
yeah, you like Backdraft. What else has he done besides Backdraft in that movie with Cindy Crawford? Name me
Oh
something
god, that
else.
movie's so bad.
What else? Name me one more. I couldn't even name the title of it.
Let me look.
No, no, that's
Sliver.
not what I said.
Sliver. That's good.
I said name one. He was in Virus with Donald
Flatliners.
Sutherland.
He was in Flatliners.
Billy Baldwin was?
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't matter. I think by default, I have to say Alec, I guess, because Alec was in The Departed. He is really good in Glengarry Glen Ross.
Oh, that movie's fantastic.
Glengarry Glen Ross.
It's funny, dude.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so funny. His famous monologue. Yeah, so just by the nature of like the
No,
movies he's been in.
he's not the best, but I mean, he has some okay movies.
This guy's giving me Pedro Pascal vibes. The
Yeah.
priest. Let's see. Dr. Giggles, I normally really like James Woods, but something about his performance in this movie just rubs me the wrong way. Why?
Really? Why?
He's not just acting like James
Only an
Woods.
action hero, dude.
I love it. He's eating it
Ugh.
up. You could tell he's like, I'm going to tap into that. He's that Charles Bronson type guy where he's not like physically a tough looking guy, but he sells it. Look at him.
Yeah.
He's kicking the shit out of a priest, dude. That's
Yeah.
nothing's more badass than that. Because we all know that priest could really fight back if he wanted to. Nice. Look, I mean, this is a classic move, dude. Classic tough guy move. Mount this guy on a hill, straddle him, kind of suggestive, I guess, and then shove that that gun down his throat.
Jesus.
Yeah, I don't know. I think for me, it's not too different than he is in a movie like Cop that I referenced earlier, but maybe he is turning it up a little bit because it's a little heightened because of the source material. But he definitely
Yeah,
knows what he's doing, and you could just tell. I mean, maybe not, but it is. He's such an. He seems like he's an ad libber. Like some of the stuff, you could tell he's a riffer, and some of the stuff
well,
is
a
just.
and that's what I read too, that, Carpenter had him, do his lines, and then he had him ad lib the same scene. So and pretty much
Oh, and he
chose
would
which
take the
one he
best
wanted.
one.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be
Yeah.
shocked if they ended up taking all of his fun takes
Yeah. Yeah. 'Cause
because he's.
he's gotta be amazing ad libber, yeah.
Did you? James Woods was actually in the news recently this week, right? Have you guys seen that? Where
No.
he was talking about how he was actually an executive producer or a producer for Oppenheimer,
Oh, yeah, but they didn't want him
and
on there.
it's because he owned the film rights. The book that Oppenheimer is based on, he bought the film rights some years back, so they had to go through James Woods to get to make the movie, and he got a producer credit because of that because he owned it. And he said the studio came to him and said, "Hey, look, we have to like take your name off this shit because you're poison."
That is freaking ridiculous. That's so
Like
stupid,
like they
dude.
still wanted to make the movie, but it's like, "We can't have you on it
Who
because
cares? Just 'cause
we
he
gotta
likes
let."
Trump, who
And
gives
it's
a
like,
fuck?
we're trying to do the Oscar race and all that shit. We can't market your name. Like when the movie won, it like swept the Oscars and he didn't accept any award. He wasn't nominated even though he was a producer.
That's ridiculous.
Best picture gets I think it won best picture. He should have got an
It
award.
did.
But and he was talking about it saying, "You know what? It's fine." He's like, "This industry is just like that." And he says, like, so many people worked so hard on it that I was okay with taking one for the team. It's just how it goes in this industry. And I get it. It's stupid and it's silly, but at the end of the day, it sounds like it was one of those things that happened like at the Oscars time, like, hey, we're gonna scrub you because
Well,
you're
they would have
gonna like.
scrubbed him regardless. Even if he was best actor of the year, they'd scrub him, which is
Yeah,
ridiculous.
so but even when he is a part of something, it's like, hey, you're cancer, man. We got to take you off this. So I'm sure he cashed a check. It's all right.
Well,
I don't
and
know if I don't know if
they do the same thing for Mel Gibson if he came out with something else, man. I
I
know
don't
that
know if I don't know if James Woods cares to be
I
part of
don't
that
I don't think
machine.
he really gives a shit either,
I
yeah.
don't think he cares to be that far a part of the machine anymore. Like if I was an actor, I would love to be one of those rebellious types. It's like, dude, I don't have to go to fucking uh, award shows. Like, I don't
Yeah,
want to campaign for the Academy Awards. I don't want to do award season. I love these guys that have those kind of careers where they just kind of have their base, and you make some let the work speak for itself. I don't care. Dude, Charles Bronson, right? He's one of the greats, dude. You don't think
mhm.
Oscar winning actor when you think Charles
No.
Bronson. He's just I'd rather be that guy that's known for something, and did it well. And who cares if I would hate it, dude. If I was that far up the butt of the industry and every year, like around award season, I had to do that shit, I'd be like, dude, I don't want to do this. I have to go to these awards. I got to go to Spirit Awards. I got to go to Golden Globe. I wouldn't want to do it at all. And a lot of
How
these people that aren't nominated, when they get invited, they still go because you got to. It's like a thing where if you fall out of the good graces, you don't even get invited anymore. So if you're getting invited, you need to go because if you don't go, they're not going to keep inviting you. So it's like
Mhm.
there's like this posturing. It's like you got to keep going. I wouldn't want to go to any of that stuff. I wouldn't want to see any of those people.
How hard do you think it would be to obtain, James Woods as for an interview? I mean, if to talk to.
Depends. If he wants to talk politics, I'd love to talk about politics, but we might have to go off the record on that. Depends on what he wants to talk about. I would
No,
love to
no,
talk.
talking about, like, video drone vampires, talking about the specialist, dude.
Speaking of which, that's why I can strongly say that he doesn't care anymore because he
Yeah.
is for the last how many years now? 10 years. He's just made himself a pariah by going ham on Twitter an
Mhm.
ex, and he's like, "I don't care." He's like, "I'm talking politically, I'm saying whatever I want." Like, you don't care at that point.
So,
Um,
technically, we're on Rumble, though, so if we're like, "Oh, we're gonna do a Rumble live stream, James. So come on with us, we can do an interview with you on
maybe that
Rumble."
would help the rumble pop off, yeah. We got one of your guys over here, your crazy guys. I would love to talk to James Woods, and we can talk just the films, man. I would love
Yeah.
it, and dude, if I was one of these guys that was like a big wig, and I went to one of these stupid awards, and I got a big award. Let's say I won best picture the next year after like Oppenheimer. I'd be going up there and I'd be like, "Hey, I would like to fucking give my award to James Woods for last year because you fucking assholes were too
Yeah,
ashamed of him.
absolutely.
Like, fuck off. James, you're watching at home. Throw him up.
No, I'll definitely be tagging James on this,
You got
commentary.
it, man. I love it. I would love to talk to John Carpenter too, man. That would be a dream come true.
Yeah.
I don't think you could peel him away from his PS2 in basketball long enough. I
PS
unless
PS2, he's still rocking the PS2, you
I
think?
it's just what me and Zach would always joke about because in his interviews he'd always talk about PS2. I'm sure he's advanced, but I like to think he's an old man that still hasn't moved on from PS2.
Well, he did do the, Halloween reunion. I think it was it 40 years or something like that he went to in California last year, so
Oh, I don't know. Hey, Dr. Giggles, Mel gets away with a lot more. He must have something on someone. I don't know if he has something on someone because I
mm,
think he wouldn't be making all the bullshit he has to make to pay off his ex-wife and all his alimonies and shit like that. He's got like 50 kids, but he's making all these really crappy direct to streamer movies that are
who,
pretty
Mel?
bad. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah, but, I mean, he's a hell of a director,
But
he's
the
a hell of
last
an
time I don't
actor.
know, but the
Yeah.
last time he directed a movie was what was it called? With Andrew Garfield. What was it called? I can't spit it out.
I don't know, but he's doing Passion too, so I'm sure,
We'll see.
it'll be
Fucking
interesting.
when hell freezes over, pun intended. When's that coming out?
I don't know.
What is Mel Gibson? I don't know why I can't spit it out. Andrew Garfield. Hacksaw Ridge.
Oh, I like that movie.
That was the last movie he directed, and
Yeah,
Hacksaw Ridge it was Oscar bait. It was
yeah.
up against Oscars. He was up against Best Director, and it's like, wow, is Mel back again? And then after that, he just went back to doing his shitty movies. So, yeah, hopefully when he directs something, he'll be back. But I want Lethal Weapon 5, man.
I thought they were in talks for Lethal Weapon 5.
Oh, yeah, it's still ongoing. It's just been taking forever, because Richard Donner was gonna make it, and then he finished most of the script, and then he died. And then he w before well, as he was while they were working in pre-production, just because he knew he was older and shit, he was in his 90s, I'm pretty sure. He was
Yeah,
really old. He said, "Mel, if I don't make it to the end, you gotta finish it for me."
yeah, that's in development right now, it
Yeah,
says.
it's been like that for, like, 4 years.
Okay.
So, but apparently there was been at first I thought it was just like this ain't going nowhere, but Mel actually commented on it for the first time in a couple of years, saying it's still being worked on or whatever, but there's
Uh,
just not a market for it,
he
sadly.
he directed a Marky Mark film that's coming out this year, A Flight Risk is what it's
Oh,
called.
I saw that. Marky Mark put him in his movie Father Stew. They're like butt buddies.
Oh, really?
Um, like he's trying to cauterize that dude.
Yeah.
Like, all you're gonna do is seal in the vampire saliva, right? The poison. Does that work like that? If a snake bites you, you
Dirty
gotta suck it
toast.
out. You can't.
Yeah.
But no, with Mel, maybe it's a good thing it's taken him this long because last year I would have told you in the last 5 years I would have said there's no market for these movies, man. These are huge movies, and I would hate for the legacy to die out today and it just flounder or go straight to streamer. But the last two Bad Boys movies have been hits, Buddy Cop
Mhm.
and
Twister
Axel
was a
Foley.
huge hit.
What?
Twister?
What does Twister have to do with action buddy cop movies?
Oh, I thought we were talking about blockbuster movies.
Fuck Twister, dude. Fuck Twisters. Fuck Glenn Powell. I don't even want to talk
I'm
about
just
it.
I'm just saying that
You want to
the
watch me combust into flames?
the blockbuster movie.
Say
I'm
Glenn
just
Powell
saying.
3 times.
Glen Powell, Glen Powell, Glen Powell.
Sounds like fucking you're saying Kung Pao. You're ordering something off Mr. Yen's menu, dude.
Glen Powell.
But I hate Glenn Powell, dude. He sucks. He owes me money.
I
But
liked him in Maverick. I thought that was a good role for him.
yep, he should have stayed a side guy. He should have
Yeah.
stayed a supporting guy. He's not a leading man.
He's not a
Uh,
leading man, I'll give you
I
that.
watched that Linklater movie with him where he plays like he's working as like an undercover cop,
Mhm.
kind of. He's like a substitute teacher by day and he works with it. And it was fun, but I just don't like him. But anyway, you've had these action movies do well, and now you had Axel Foley come out, Beverly Hills Cop 4, and it just got praise.
It was
It's
great,
universally
man,
pretty
yeah.
and you know what? They really proved that, wow, there is a market for this legacy franchise, right? I mean, the last time we had Beverly Hills Cop was even longer than we had like Lethal Weapon 4. So hopefully the timing is going to be right and it really strikes because but they can't press that too long because Danny Glover's pretty damn old, man. And
Oh, yeah.
he's not that much older than Mel, but he's like a decade and Mel's old.
Well, didn't Danny Glover have, like, a stroke or something, or didn't
He
he have,
seems to be
like,
better
some
now.
sort of
There was a point if you saw him in that movie Shooter with Marky Mark where he was the bad guy,
I
he had
didn't
had
see
a
that.
stroke or something because he was talking weird, like his jaw was slacked and
"Oh,
he
don't forget JP, he's
But
coming through."
he was like, and I was like, "What the fuck is wrong with him?" But he must have got it over because you can come back from that stuff,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
because now he's back. But he's just so old. It's like, what are they? I'm hoping the story is going to revolve around that well because he's so old. Like, what is he going to do? And lead the weapon. And now Mel is just so old too. But I'm here for it. I just think they need to make it dark, man.
So he's
It,
born in '46, so that would make him
80, 78.
I'm getting too old for this shit.
By the time they actually film this shit, he will be 80.
He's still a cop, dude. I'm getting too old for this shit. Yeah.
They
You've been saying
have
that
to.
for 30, fuck, 40
There
years.
is no way in this script he has to be retired. There's just no way. They'd have to write it as such that he's retired because he's too old. It doesn't make sense
Yeah.
that he would still be on the force. And maybe Mel, if anything, maybe Mel is the one that's at retirement age, but he's got one last case and he wants to work with Murtaugh. You know what I mean? They got to like make it make sense. And not to mention,
Commissioner Murtaugh or something, put him
Not
in.
to mention Murtaugh in real life is only about a decade from Mel, but in the movies, he's portrayed as much older. He's like 20 years. He's supposed to
Yeah.
be, right? In the first Lethal Weapon, he's celebrating his 50th birthday, right? 50. He's in
Yeah,
the
yeah.
bathtub, and that I'm too old for this shit. He wasn't 50 in Lethal Weapon. I don't know how old he was. He was like in his late 30s, maybe 40.
Oh,
And all you
yeah,
had to do was
40,
slap him
50.
up.
Yeah, he's in his 40s or something, yeah.
I'm just saying, like, he was being portrayed older, and they just have to make it make sense. But I love it, man. I want there to be a renaissance for the action genre, man. And I don't and maybe there is space for it. Maybe it's been so dormant because of the Fast and Furious and all the Marvel movies kind of took the place of action movies. But if those start to peter out a little bit and just make way for maybe there could be room for some of these movies to come back a little bit.
I
I'm
wish.
not even gonna like harp about it, dude. If they want to come out with like a couple of Marvel movies a year, oh whatever. I don't give a fuck. Just before what they were doing a couple years ago when they just Disney dominated the fucking slate, dude, and nobody wanted to make anything. Nobody could make anything that was not like $1 billion. So
They need to get Steven Seagal out of retirement is what they need.
is he retired? Isn't he like fucking
Oh,
fishing in
he's
Russia?
retired. Yeah, he's in Russia, ain't he?
Yeah, Steven Seagal can stay there. They can keep him. I'm sure he probably tells everybody that Putin hired him as like a fucking war strategist for Ukraine.
I thought he was like a bodyguard, a Putin bodyguard or something.
He
God,
probably stands guard in like the fucking Russian KFCs and shit. Like he probably makes sure people aren't coming back and taking like wasting too much wasting food at the buffet.
speaking of wasting career, Tommy Lee Jones, I thought kinda wasted his career, like, he is an awesome actor,
Why do you
and
think he wasted his career? He's old, baby. He just kind of
I just don't understand how he didn't get bigger roles in the late '90s, early 2000s,
he
mid
literally
2000s.
won like 2 Oscars, and he won his last Oscar for Lincoln, which was just like within the last decade.
Oh, I don't remember Lincoln, I didn't see that.
He won the Oscar for Lincoln.
Okay.
So he's around and he's kind of doing the and he was in No Country for Old Men in the last 15 years or so, and he was highly praised. I think he's just older and he's slowed down a lot, but he seems to be it's better than like turn of the 2000s where you're getting like Man of the House and these weird movies where he's doing them. But he was in Hunted, right? Wasn't he in that with Benicio del
Never
Toro?
saw that.
That's a Friedkin movie, total Friedkin for hire movie. But I don't know. I think when you get older, you get more selective. And Tommy Lee Jones is a weird looking fucking guy. He's weird, dude.
He is weird, but he's a great actor, man. I
He looks
mean,
like he can play Plinko on his skin, dude, his face. But and he looked he looked old in Lincoln, and he looks when you have, like, that kinda, like, leather purse skin like he has, like, the ring what the older you get, you put on that old man weight too. It
yeah,
just
it looks like a baseball glove,
yeah, dude, it looks like a
basically, yeah,
fucking he looks like a California raisin's ass.
yeah.
It's pretty bad, but, no shame. But speaking of our boy, James Woods isn't no peach. He's older, he's got a rough complexion too, and he's kinda suffering from it as well. Um, but yes, hey,
Still a
I
very
wonder
handsome man.
speaking of, I love that dude. He's like, "You know what? This is good enough coffin. I'm just gonna bury myself in the dirt overnight." But, I was gonna say, you know what this movie reminds me of? This has kind of a weird '90s straight to video stink to it sometimes. It reminds me of, speaking of those flicks, the Lou Diamond Phillips movie, Route 666.
Yeah, I've been wanting to watch that.
Don't.
Okay.
You do? So it stars Lou Diamond Phillips and
I wanna see
Lori
the first
Petty.
Power too. I don't remember that. Was
Uh,
it the last Power or first Power?
First Power.
Okay.
So it I don't really there's another movie that I think First Power is supposed to be a lot like a poor man's version of, oh, you know what it's like? I think it's like, Fallen, that Denzel movie.
'Cause
Where
doesn't he play the role of, that serial killer in one of those movies? The
Night Stalker?
Night Stalker?
I don't know what you're
I
I
thought
don't
he played that. Maybe I'll look it up.
you
Hold
think he
on.
looks like him? Like he should've.
He does
Uh,
look like the Night Stalker, dude.
wait, that should be a thumbnail, dude. Put it on my hand, dude. Now, no, but Route 666, it's got a good cast actually. Like I said, Lori Petty, Tank Girl, and, there's a few other people that are in this flick. They're like, "Oh, okay," and I like Lou Diamond Phillips. And the
Yeah.
movie starts off okay because it seems like, okay, this is, it's a couple of, people on the run, couple FBI agents, running through the desert. It's great, but then it suddenly turns into a really weird shitty paranormal movie where there's like a ghost of this old chain gang on Route 666 and you got Lou Diamond Phillips shooting ghosts. It's really bad. And then there's a lot of that really like slow down fade 90s editing. It's bad, dude. It's really rough. Let's see. Can't wait for dramatic movies are just gonna
You
die. These kids can't concentrate on anything for more than 5 seconds. The good actors are all
take the
dying.
comments. I gotta piss real quick.
Yeah. Nothing to replace them with. Yeah, I don't know, man. I try and fight and give people gives the times the benefit of the doubt because I'm sure a little bit has to be me just being that old man where it's like, oh, it's just not as good as it was when I was a kid. But yeah, man, but I also don't want to surrender completely because I think it really a lot of times is not as good as it was. I don't know. I mean, I wasn't like that with my grandparents. Like, oh, I liked their movies. I love stuff from the 60s. I love the 70s, I love the 80s. And there is just something so disingenuous about what they do today. I just how they make movies isn't as magical anymore. I get it. It's part of the times. I'm not gonna like poo-poo technology or whatever, but you couldn't have you can't have James Woods. You can't have characters like this in movies today, and it's just a bummer. I think there's more restrictions is what I don't like, right? Um, but That's it. Yeah, I don't even know if you could write like I said, there that movie Cop with James Woods, he is a protagonist, and he's not a very nice guy, and he's not a very likable guy, like, in real life, it's like, you wouldn't like this guy. You just can't do that. You think a movie like Abel Ferrara's Bad Lieutenant would come out today? You think a movie like that would come out today and get an actor like Harvey Keitel or someone of his stature? Absolutely not, man, and it's just a crying shame. But, I don't know. We'll always have Tom Hanks in movies where he's like what's that movie with Tom Hanks and Robert Wright coming out where it's like one angle the whole time? It's like one angle from their house, and it's just showing you how they age and go through their whole life in one house. Doesn't that sound like the worst piece of shit you've ever seen? That looks terrible to me. And I love Robert Zemeckis, but I'm not sold on that.
Hey, I
Is this
just looked. Lou Diamond Phillips was in a movie called The Night Stalker in 2016.
Oh,
He
wow.
played Richard Ramirez, dude.
In 2016,
Yes.
Richard Ramirez was a young man.
I know, right?
And how old was he in 2016?
I don't old.
Gee, he was born to play it though.
No,
And he really does look like that.
it's funny, dude, because they show him in the trailer. He's like in prison, dude, looking behind glass at you. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, now that you say that, I do remember it. It's just because it was it's probably some straight to video piece of shit that
Yeah, or Netflix. I don't know.
yeah, and he wishes last 8 years, probably a red box, right? We can't say
Yeah.
red box much anymore because they closed down red
People
box.
don't know what Redbox is anymore, which is crazy.
But I think there is a different quality. I think Redbox movies are even lower than Netflix
Yeah,
movies.
there's some pretty good serial killer Redbox movies. I'll give them that.
Well, you like that Big Stand with Rob Schneider?
I thought Gacy was good.
Was that
I
a
thought,
Redbox movie?
oh yeah, all those are Redbox movies, dude.
Mm, yeah, I don't know, but what is it called? Uh, I don't know, man. When I think of Redbox, I just think of like all these movies starring 50 Cent and Val Kilmer. And then like there was a period where it was nothing but like Robert De Niro all over all these shitty movies. And you know, and obviously famously the Bruce Willis movies. And you don't, even though they're bait and switch, you always know what they are. It's like, okay, you got Mel Gibson, you got Robin Williams here on the cover, and you got this guy, you know they're in it for like 2 seconds.
Yeah, but they're still entertaining enough. A lot of these Redbox movies are.
I would watch the Night Stalker movie. Why not? Because I think Lou Diamond Phillips is a really good actor.
He is a very good actor.
If you ask if you ask T-shirt Joe, you guys all know T-shirt Joe. I love how he did a review of. I think he did a review of Route 666 recently on his
Oh, he did.
on his socials. He's just this guy that makes T-shirts, and he posts these like cynical fucking reviews. They're always hilarious, and he was shitting on Lou Diamond Phillips. And how he's a shit actor. I think Lou Diamond Phillips is a really good actor.
He's a great actor,
And
man.
I think he just kind of got a raw deal. I think he was, you know, on the verge of being the next big thing. You know, La Bamba was a huge breakout hit for him. And off the heels of La Bamba, he got Young Guns. And, you know, somewhere in the 90s, he just fell off and he just didn't quite, the spark didn't take. And it's too bad because I think he's charismatic. I think it's funny how like the Latino community cherishes him and holds him up in high regard, but he's Filipino. But he's made his career playing like
I think he should have got okay. I don't know if he was offered this role or anything, but I think he should have got the role of Karate Kid over Ralph Macchio. I think Lou Diamond Phillips would be the perfect Karate Kid.
why?
I don't know. I just think he'd be the perfect Karate Kid.
He's fucking 70. What the fuck is your problem?
I'm talking about in the 80s, man.
I don't think he was really doing a whole lot in the 80s. I mean, he was in La Bamba in the 80s, but I don't think they knew who Lou Diamond Phillips was.
No.
I don't think so. I think even in the 80s, he looked like La Bamba. And I think you have to have that Daniel LaRusso, that little pipsqueak.
Well, he still kind of has a little bit. I mean, he's not a tough guy by any means, but
I know Lou Diamond Phillips does cons and stuff now, but he really needs to hit that shit hard because he still has the best music biopic of all time.
I would love to meet Lou Diamond Phillips, man.
And it's
I
just
I'd pay
I
for his autograph, and I don't pay
I
for a
think
whole
it's the
autograph.
one everybody thinks about. I think
Mhm,
everybody still thinks about La Bamba, and it's funny because Richie Valens is like a fart in the wind compared to, like, Elvis or anybody. He really had, like, what, 2 hits?
mhm.
And I his
He
La
had more than
Bamba is
2,
better.
man.
Huh?
He had more than
What do you
2.
have, La Bamba and Donna? What's the other one?
He had off the top of my head, I don't but there's like 4 or 5 I knew when I saw the biopic.
Okay, you sure he wasn't just, like, covering other people's songs for the in the movie, like, playing them, like, was he were they actually recorded hits?
Yeah, let me,
Dude, these guys were around like Buddy Holly and the Crickets. These guys had like 1 or 2 little hits, and they were around for like a year, and then they fucking die, and they're like legends because nobody because rock and roll was so new back then. Everybody was like immortalized off very little back then. Richie Valens. He's not even verified. God, what a weird looking dude. Oh, We Belong Together. You're right. Oh, yeah, Come On, Let's Go. You're right, you're
yeah,
right. We Belong Together, La
yeah.
Bamba. Wow, We Belong Together is his highest, streamed. Donna, Come On, Let's Go, Stay Beside Me. Alright, so I've
Yeah, he
eaten my
has a
words.
ton of them, dude.
But I feel like all this stuff happened in such a short amount of time for them, right? But still, the movie's just that good, and the characters are great. I love Isai Morales, dude. I would love to meet Isai Morales too. I think he's a fantastic actor.
What is he doing now? Is he doing anything?
I don't know. I used to follow him on social media, and he's one of those guys that sold his pages, so it was like a bunch of bullshit.
Oh,
I'm like, "I have to
really?
unfollow you, Isai." Selling me products and stuff like that. But he's fantastic, and he's, huge in the Latin community, and I would do a photo op with Bob and Richie, dude.
Oh,
Absolutely.
that'd be awesome, man.
I'd make him do a
Esai
hand draw.
Morales he's 61, he's not that old, dude.
Yeah, okay.
I thought he was
Even
older.
though he could easily feasibly die in, like, 4 years. He's not that
60
old.
61, dude,
Dude,
that's
people
not
die in
old,
their
dude,
fucking 60s all the time. Where you been living?
which is crazy to me, man.
I know, but it doesn't feel that old, but, like, if you're close enough to die, it's crazy. Todd, now you got me thinking about mortality all of a sudden because, Todd,
I
you're gonna die you could die in 20 years. How's that make you
yeah,
feel?
well, it's been a good run. Uh,
Has it? Has this
he's
been a
in
great run?
he's in Mission Impossible 8.
Isai?
Issa,
I
yeah.
think I saw that, yeah. No, Isai works here and there. The Christine soundtrack, yeah, like, it's nothing but a bunch of those '50s artists and stuff like that. I love that, dude.
I do too. Yeah,
I love it when it's a part of period movies from the '50s more than I
mhm.
like listening to that music
The
on my own
doo-wop.
time.
I still listen to some of the doo-wop stuff.
Yeah, it's cool. My grandpa loves that stuff, dude. Whenever I go back home, I think one of the last times I went back home, I went to Branson, Missouri with my grandpa. We watched a doo-wop show.
Oh, really? That's
And it
cool,
was
though.
just like doo-wop group playing all the hits, dude. Like it was like a tribute to Frankie Valli. That's what it was. It was
Mhm.
like it was all the Frankie, and I love Frankie Valli is the king. He's the goat of all the oldie stuff, dude.
My grandpa was, he was a trumpet player, so he's big into, like, the, swing music, and he was big into the big bands and everything I love that stuff now still, dude, because it reminds me of him,
Like the
so
cherry poppin' daddies, dude.
Cherry Poppin' Daddies, Big Bad Voodoo Daddy, all
A
those,
lot of
man.
daddies.
Yeah. I still like them, but that's like the '90s revival, so that's the, new stuff, but I'm talking
Yeah,
about,
I
like,
know.
old stuff.
You think that's the same diner that, Jean-Claude Van Damme beat the shit out of the entire wait staff and
Looks
cook
like it.
staff in,
Desert
Universal
Heat?
Soldier?
Oh, I thought you were talking Desert Heat. Good
No, I
pie.
guess there was one in Desert Heat too. No, he's like, "I just want to eat." He's got, like, the bread in his mouth. "I
Yeah,
just want to
yeah.
eat." We've never done any of the Universal Soldier stuff too. I would like to do even the shitty one. The shitty, second one with, Michael Jai White as Seth, the computer, the AI that,
Is
like,
that the one with the Bill Goldberg?
yeah. And Bill
Okay.
Goldberg does nothing but say a bunch of one-liners. Like, every time he opens his mouth, it's a really cheesy one-liner. Like, but it's great. Like, "Saved by the Bell, Devereaux." He just says a lot of really shitty things. It's so stupid. And the movie is super short, dude. It's one of those movies that's like 80 minutes. Like, how the hell did this fucking get off the fucking press? But
Yeah, and that was in theaters too. I remember that being in theaters.
Yeah, because I remember the soundtrack, Megadeth came out, they did the Crush 'Em video.
Oh, Crush 'Em. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a
Yeah,
great,
it had
great
like a
song, dude. I love
that's
that
back in
song.
the day where they had rock and roll metal centric soundtracks. Now
Yep.
you can't find heavy metal bands on any soundtracks. It just do it's not a thing.
That died out in what, 2003,
Yeah, early
2001?
2000s, it probably died off. It died out with Linkin Parks and Limp Bizkits and stuff like that. Like, that was probably the last run of it, like Limp Bizkit doing
Disturbed, yeah.
MI2, and you even had, like, Linkin Park doing, like, what was the, Transformers movie. It's just now been all hip hop
Probably,
for a long
yeah,
time.
Dawn of the Dead, Down with the Sickness. I remember Disturbed was doing that.
But I thought that was Richard Cheese's version. Was Disturbed's version in it too?
Maybe it
Richard
was
Cheese
too.
is that,
Yeah,
like, lounge singer versions
maybe it
of
was
the
the
song.
lounge, yeah. Okay.
But, yeah, it was just a thing. It's like, everybody they were throwing rock music in all kinds of movies back in the day. And it was always the same old players. You could pull it whether you were talking about, like, the End of Days soundtrack, or you're talking about uh,
Crow,
the Crow, or we're heavy metal 2000, or Dracula 2000, a lot of
Dracula
2000s. It was
2000.
always Static X and Power Man
Yeah.
5000, and it would be always, like, new alt metal bands of the day, but then you always have Pantera in there too.
Yep.
Pantera did so many of them. It would be Pantera and Slayer. If you Pantera and Slayer bundled with American Head Charge and all these shitty bands of the day, and maybe like a Rob Zombie or something like that, and, um,
I
you
still
know
love "Avoid the Light." I think that's a great Pantera song.
it's a did you get the I don't wanna talk too much about music, but get they included that on the remaster of, Reinventing Steel.
Oh, really? I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
yeah, it's got Avoid the Light, it's got, isn't wasn't there what's the other song from that era? I thought there was another one.
I don't know. I love
Cat
that
Scratch
dime
Fever, maybe? I don't know, but Avoid the Light's on it, and,
that guitar solo, and that's awesome, dude. I love
that's
that.
worth getting to just for the Terry Date mix, because they remixed it, it sounds the album sounds just like a totally different album. It's great.
See, after I watched that Bruiser, 4K, I wanted to pick up, Famous Monsters, but that's not really on vinyl. I couldn't find that on vinyl.
You want the bootleg Misfits, dude? You want the you want the bootleg Misfits, because that's not the
Yeah, yeah,
original
yeah.
Misfits.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's okay, but you gotta listen to the classic Misfits, man. Yeah, that Bruiser, I gotta watch my opera. I gotta try and make time for it. I wanted to watch it tonight, dude, but I don't even know if I'm gonna be fucking sleeping at this rate. So, we're creeping up to the end of the movie here, and Daniel Baldwin is still, like, bit, but we haven't I don't think they've exposed that yet. Let's let this the father has to die, come on. Yeah, it's okay to punch a woman as long as she's got
"Avoid the
fangs.
Light." There you go. "The sun's in sight."
What?
Said,
Oh,
"Avoid the light, the sun's in sight." Sorry, that's a Dracula 2000.
yeah, that's a bad movie too, man.
Yeah,
You
it's
kinda
terrible.
and you're shocked. That was dark times for Christopher Plummer. Christopher Plummer is like a fucking theater actor. He's a real actor. I think he won an Oscar back in the day, and then just in the '90s, he couldn't get work, and he's in Dracula too. Same thing with Peter O'Toole, when they put Peter O'Toole in Phantoms.
Mhm.
There was, like, that era where they were doing that shit, because it's like, it would be these movies with young blood actors, and they would try and add some kinda credibility to it, and maybe to help get financing or something, and they'd throw in some fucking old timer that used to be, like, a really big name, like, Peter O'Toole, and you watch, like, Phantoms, and Peter O'Toole is like, "Why are you doing this shit?" It's such a paycheck, and Christopher Plummer too, dude, he's an amazing actor, and he did Dracula 2000. And
Yeah,
he's
they really
great in it. He's good in everything that, but then you got Gerard Butler as Dracula, which nobody really thinks about, but he's like young, hairless Gerard Butler, and he looks really skinny and young. And
they don't have enough good vampire movies. There's some that I do like that some people don't. Like 30 Days a Night, I thought could have been a lot better if Josh Hartnett wasn't in it. I thought it was a good movie though, entertaining.
mm,
Cool premise. I did like Stake Land a lot. I know you didn't
I
like it, but
I bought that because you guys recommended it so much back in the day, and I watched it once, and, it was when it first came out. I went to Best Buy and rolled
2010,
up.
I think? Yeah.
Yeah. I might have bought it in 2011, but when
Okay.
I bought it and I watched it, and I just don't remember anything about it. I remember I didn't like it, but maybe I should rewatch. I still have it. Maybe I should give it a rewatch.
Yeah, I really liked it. I haven't seen it for long time since it first came
I
out, but
haven't seen a lot of those movies that I watched that were some of the first Blu-rays I bought, like that, and even a movie like I remember liking quite a bit, like, Hobo with a Shotgun. I haven't rewatched
oh, yeah.
that, you know?
That's definitely over the top. I mean, that's I love it, but, I mean, it's definitely, it's a sign of its time, like those type of movies,
Uh,
but
I remember the movie that came out around that time that was the big hit that, I always forget to mention it because I think in the last time we were recording, I said, what were we talking about? Who was the Oh, I can't remember which, iconic slasher I was talking about because I was talking about how you have Art the Clown, and then before that, obviously, you had, like, Ghostface, and I was trying to think of who predated Ghostface, who came after, like, as far as establishing these new icons, and
yeah.
I totally always forget about Sam from Trick or Treat, but
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Sam
yeah.
is kinda one of those guys too,
Mhm.
and oh, you know what I was talking about? I might have been talking about, like, Jigsaw.
Oh, okay.
I might have been. But yeah, but Sam is too. And look, I like Trick or Treat. I've only ever watched it once,
It's
and
good.
and I
I
really
like it too.
enjoyed it. But for some reason, I've had no desire to go back and watch, and I don't know why, because it really is a movie that I love anthology movies.
It's a great anthology. It's
And
not as rewatchable as
and
you
I
want
love
though, yeah.
it's a movie that would really put you in the spirit. I could see why people probably wanna watch that every Halloween because it's
Mhm.
literally on Halloween night, and it really sets off the vibe better than any movie. It sets off the vibe better than
3
Halloween,
different stories and they all connect. It's
and you got the
cool.
trick or
Yeah.
treaters. It's really cool, and I love the actors in it, like, Dylan Baker is a great actor. He's a great character actor.
Yeah.
Um, it loses me a little bit at the end with a Coven, and they start playing Marilyn Manson's Sweet Dreams. I'm like, "Oh,
I like that. I thought he did a great cover with that
I
song.
know, but, like, they almost have sometimes I don't wanna hear the fucking cheesy '90s rock song, like, we're not in that era anymore.
Huh.
It's like, "Oh, man, I kinda wish they." And it's got Anna Paquin, right? You could, like, fucking
Yeah.
floss her teeth with your dick, dude, that giant gap in her face. Um,
She's from that TV show too, right? Two Broke Girls. Is that Anna Paquin?
no, you're thinking of, Kat Dennings. She's also
Kat
got a big gap
Dennings.
you can floss
Okay,
with your,
yeah.
pee-pee. Yeah. Doctor Giggles, you watched every Halloween? So yeah, I should watch it again,
I
man.
like it too. I think
I
it's
wonder if
they're coming out
I
with the
loved it,
4K
but
soon.
and whatever happened to Trick or Treat 2?
They've been in talks for that for years. I
Like
don't
20,
know.
like, fucking 15 years.
Yeah.
I think they were in talks of it back when I saw the original, like, it
Which
was
I don't understand how they haven't come out with it yet because, I mean, trick or treat's
what's
all over, Spirit Halloween,
what is the holdup? Like, what there's gotta be some kinda holdup with it.
I'm looking it up right now.
And I think, yeah, she was Rogue. You know what? I think she's a real crappy Rogue, man. That's the thing I don't like about those X-Men movies is they basically combined her with Jubilee. They're like, "Hey, let's kinda, like, mesh the Rogue and the Jubilee character into one, and let's cast Anna Paquin." And, they kinda just threw that out the window when in X-Men 3, they literally was it X-Men 3 in X or maybe it was Days of Future Past. 3 or Days of Future Past, they established Jubilee, right? She's one of the students. She doesn't have a big role, but she's in it. I'm like, "Well, I thought they were just combining her with Anna Pack. So why do we get Jubilee and now we've wasted Rogue?" Because I think Rogue's a fantastic character and they just, and I like Jubilee as a standalone, but what they did with Anna Paquin wasn't cool.
Yeah, you said that you went out and watched the new Wolverine with the lady. What'd you think of that?
Deadpool, Wolverine.
Yeah.
We, look, it's as fun as those movies are gonna get for me at this anymore.
You used
It's
to love comic book movies. I always thought you were crazy.
dude, you fucking have to understand when these things were first starting and before they got super saturated, it had never been done before because you can't knock it because when Marvel Studios first put together their studio company. And when Marvel was fucking in Skid Row back in the 90s and the 80s, they were broke. So they sold off all their IPs. They were literally like they might if they didn't file bankruptcy, they were on the verge of it. That's when that's when you have like Canon making fucking Captain America movies in the 70s and and
Yeah.
that's when you have Corman making Fantastic Four movies because they were just selling off their fucking shit to keep the lights on. And famously they sold Spider-Man to Sony and X-Men to Fox and was Fox Blade and Blade was the first one that kind of started all of it, right? Blade was like 98 and that was
Mhm.
before any of the universe stuff happened, but you had Blade which was like a surprise hit and then you had Blade 2 and because Blade was such a huge fucking hit, that's what got X-Men made. And then X-Men was a big hit, then you got Spider-Man. And but these were all different studios that to me that was a golden era for it because you have all these different studios that own the IPs and they're not sharing a universe. They don't feel like they got to tie in everything and it's fucking all weird. It was still like the days of like Burton Batman. It was no different. It's like, oh, Burton Batmans are Burton Batmans. They don't have anything to do with anything else and they can exist. And Blade was cool and the X-Men 1 and 2, X-Men 2 is fucking awesome. I still think it is. And those Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, the first two were cool. But then it just got ridiculous. And then Marvel regretted it and they got their money back or something. They're like, well, let's fucking make our own movies, but we don't have our characters anymore. We better fucking start hitting the fucking bench and getting the C tier, the second stringers, so they come out with Iron Man. There had never been an Iron Man movie. He was never a popular property. Like they had a 90s Iron Man cartoon that wasn't like X-Men or Spider-Man, and no one had ever done anything with Thor. And the fact that they started building this universe and building up to an Avengers, dude, nobody had done that. And then Disney, that's the problem, is Disney swooped in after the first Avengers and bought them, and it's
Mhm.
Disney that's fucking done the last decade of damage or plus or whatever, and it's always Disney. Disney bought Star Wars. I don't like Star Wars, but Disney did it with Star Wars. They just will just run everything into the ground, and now it's like, dude, you can't watch one of those Marvel movies without having to be caught up on all the fucking TV shows they have, which are
Mhm.
ridiculous. You have to you have to be up and up on everything. And it's just too much. It's just too much. And I just could give a shit less now. I don't give a fuck about Shang-Chi and the Marvels. Like they're out of fucking shit now. It's like I just miss the days of just having X-Men movies and we don't have to fucking acknowledge Spider-Man in these movies. But anyway, the Deadpool movie, it's light on plot. It's literally just an exhibition of 2 hours of jokes and over the top violence. So it is fun. It's just nonstop like jokes per minute and just blood. So it's kind of
Mhm.
fun. Like it's a fun popcorn movie, but I still think it would have just been cooler 10 years ago
Mm.
because it's a big deal. Oh, you get to see Wolverine in the classic 90s costume finally because fans have always wanted that. Like, yeah, I would have thought that was cool 10 years ago. I'm just over it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't care anymore. But it was fine enough. A lot of people, it's good to see people going back to theaters, but at the same time, it just kind of like brings the problem back up. It's like last thing I want is for Disney to have another $1 billion movie because Disney was bombing. Like the last string of Marvel movies all fucking bombed. Indiana
Yeah.
Jones bombed. The Star Wars bombed.
Now they're
And
gonna
it's like,
come
yes.
back out with this shit.
And it's like they get another big one. It's like, fuck, why do we put him back on life support?
Yeah.
We just brought him back. And all it's gonna do is make Disney, it's gonna give Disney ideas like, oh, we'll make people like this self-referential breaking the fourth wall, meta shit. Now let's do that with Star Wars. We gotta have a Star Wars where watch, they're gonna fucking just do it. It's just ridiculous. And I'm so sick of the fucking timeline bullshit, dude. Can we stop? It's just like they was it Robert Downey Jr. is coming back for the next Avengers movie as
Oh,
Doctor
yeah,
Doom
yeah.
because they're split because they're working like, dude, this timeline bullshit gives you an excuse to do anything.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of fucking old. It's like, dude, it's cool with comic books, but now we're just getting ridiculous. And I kind of agree with James Mangold. Or James Mangold, who directed The Wolverine, but he also did movies like Copland and Walk the Line.
Mm,
He was saying the timeline bullshit's the death of storytelling, story
mhm.
in good writing, and it kind of is.
Yeah.
It's just like, I don't know.
Well, you
Anyway,
can do
Daniel
whatever at this
Baldwin.
point.
What's that?
You said you can do whatever at this point.
Yeah, it's just who cares, but whatever. Let's see. Done with Marvel. Yeah, Disney ruins everything. Done with Marvel and Star Wars. But you know what I mean, Dr. Giggles? Was it not cool at the start? Now it's like you kind of fucking embarrassed. But no, it's when they first came out before Disney bought them out, the first Iron Man was a lot of fun. And it's just like, and you could even tell with that first set of movies, there's a lot more there's a quality there that didn't exist after Disney bought them. Then
Yeah.
it's like they're pumping out so many, they became cookie cutter, and the budgets got so bloated, but the movies look shittier and shittier. When I'm watching like Thor 3 and I'm watching Chris Hemsworth and Tom Hiddleston talk to Anthony Hopkins on a hillside overlooking a fucking New Zealand, Oceanside, and they couldn't film it there, and it's on a screen of like Oceanside and New Zealand. Like, for fuck's sake, you guys are worth how these movies are making how
That's
many billions of dollars?
ridiculous. Yeah.
Fly to fucking New Zealand and film this shit on set.
That's
Everything is
lazy.
it's just ridiculous. All their money goes into advertising and fucking toys and stacking their cast with a million people. It's absolutely ridiculous. And you watch the first Thor movie, it's grounded, but it doesn't look cheap. It doesn't look shitty and cheap.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's talk about a better movie. Vampires.
Yeah, let's talk about a better movie here, Doctor Giggles. Have you seen L.A. AIDS Jabber? I heard about this movie, but
What?
yeah, there's a movie called L.A. AIDS Jabber,
Oh,
dude.
I can only imagine what that's about. Is it a guy is this based on a true story? Was there a guy that
I
was like
don't.
taking dirty syringes and pricking people?
It came out like a year or two ago on Blu-ray or something. But let us know, Doctor Giggles, if it's worth watching.
Jeez. I like how I can't say dingy and stiffy, but Todd can say the name of that movie.
It's the name of a movie, man. You could
Hey,
say dingy, sticky, sticky, stiffy on you.
my dicky was sticky, dude.
It
Got
was
real sticky.
sticky by the end of the night. Absolutely.
Well, yeah, this she's giving me you know what she reminds me of?
Mm.
Sean Zolt, the white zombie bass player. Speaking of all those like soundtracks of the 90s. That vampire chick, dude.
Sean Zolt? I'll have to look
The
her up,
girl,
dude.
the female,
I'll have to
the
look her
female
up.
white zombie player.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Okay, yeah, yeah.
Like when she's a vampire right there, she kind
Yep.
of gives me like the vibes of her. I don't know if that's how you say her last name. I just always figured, man, Daniel Baldwin, why don't you just die already? Good. You think the fatter you are, it takes longer for it to like really conquer your bloodstream? You think that's what's keeping them going? You ever notice the inconsistency of that, like in some of these movies where like some people become vampires real quick, but then if they're
Yeah.
important enough to the story and if it serves the script and the story, they'll have them last as long as they need to.
Nah, just like zombie movies too. I mean, it's the way it goes.
But like he's under the impression that cauterizing these wounds over and over again is like helping him, which maybe if this was a zombie movie, maybe because if they were arguing that like, well, I'm cauterizing is because it's keep me alive longer, because you
Yeah.
could argue that
It's in your
well,
bloodstream though, right away, you think.
yeah, when you're a zombie, you don't turn into a zombie until you die, right? If you're
Mhm.
talking from like the Romero, because technically they die before. Like I know
Yeah.
it shows them like turning into a zombie, but I thought the angle was yeah, but once their heart stops, then
Mhm.
they become a zombie. That's the way I always took it. And yeah, you're right. He's a vampire. It's in his bloodstream. So what is cauterizing doing?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
What other movies has Silver been in? I can't really think of anything of note.
Let's
I
look it
mean,
up. How about it?
he's pretty much been in Karate Kid 3 and then this. I bet he was really happy to get that phone call, man, for Cobra Kai.
Well, he's I mean, he's a great character. I
He's
don't.
probably been in more stuff than I could really think of, but when I see James Woods tied to that car, it makes me think of another great movie we're about to get on 4K. We're getting The Hitcher.
This reminds me of the end of Braveheart, dude.
I mean, yeah, I guess, okay. Braveheart was during the day, and he was, tied to that strapped to that machine or whatever. Well, I mean, it should remind you of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, because
That
he's on a
too.
cross.
Yeah,
But a second ago, I think he was, like, by the car, right? But I can't wait till The Hitcher comes out, man. That'll be fun. I think when The Hitcher comes out, we gotta do a commentary as well.
absolutely, man.
We gotta talk about the film, and we gotta talk about the actual 4K set. But there's gonna be a lot of renewed interest with all the because you know how collectors are. We just waste our money and they blind buy shit because it's the buzz
Mhm.
title. And, there's a lot of people that are buying that fucking movie that have never seen it, and they're like, "Well, I might as well buy it and then wait till it comes out and I'll watch it." So, yeah, I think it'd be great to do a flick like that and talk
Well,
about it.
people have been talking about that for years. I mean, people have been wanting that for a long time.
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
I've been
that's
watching that
been
movie I've watched that movie since I was a kid.
really?
Oh, yeah.
Hmm.
When's the last time you saw that? When did you first see it?
Mm, well, I saw it a few times in the '90s, and then I saw it
Well, that
about
was when you were a
four
kid.
years ago.
We were my mom and dad would always talk about it because, to them, I think when my mom saw The Hitcher when she was probably like, what year was The Hitcher? I know it was 80s, but what year exactly? I don't know if my mom was in high
Uh,
school still or not.
'87. Let me look.
Yeah, so my mom wasn't in high school. She was out of high school, but she always talked about how she saw The Hitcher, and to her and to people like when that came out,
'86.
86, the year I was born.
Yeah.
So the Hitcher to them in 86 was brutal.
Mhm.
It's tame by today's
Yeah,
standards,
yeah.
but, she'd always talk it up like, "Oh, The Hitcher," and I'm like, "I don't," like, "Relax, mom, I don't think anything with C. Thomas Howell can be that
It
extreme."
yeah.
But, anyway, and then I watched it, and I remember watching it in elementary school. We rented it from the library when I was, like, in the 4th grade, and she'd already been talking about it. And even in the 4th grade, I'm like, "Yeah, the harshness of this movie doesn't live up to your hype, mom, but it was awesome. I loved it." I loved his character, man. Rutger Hauer is brilliant,
Yeah,
and
you
it's
got
prob
Rutger Hauer, you have, Jennifer Jason Leigh, you have Jeffrey DeMunn, which he was in Walking Dead.
and then, like I said, everybody the end is the big thing at the end. It's kind of like a what's in the box moment, kind of,
Mhm.
with what happens to the lady, but it's really great, man, and C. Thomas Howell's a great actor too. His career kinda hit the shits. Now
Mhm.
he just kinda shows up in random stuff, like, he had a kind of a recurring bit on Bosch, you
Mhm.
know, but, like, yeah, and he's in that Old Dads movie, dude. He shows up in that Old Dads movie with Bill Burr, which is actually really funny on Netflix. I would watch that. That's a good Netflix movie. And, there's a gag in there where he's gay and he marries, Rob Halford, a Judas Priest, dude.
Oh, really?
There's, like, pictures of him, dude, in leather bondage, dude, like, he married but, um, but yeah,
Wouldn't
Rutger
marry
Hauer,
Rob
I'd say that
Halford.
is probably his 2nd best performance after. I mean, Blade Runner has to be number 1. Even though, like, I don't think the movie Blade Runner is perfect, and I've always had problems with it, his performance in Blade Runner is fucking it's so good. He steals the whole movie, especially in his final monologue. That was all, off the page. It was all total well, not even off the page, it was all off the top of his head, improved. And then there's The Hitcher, of course. Didn't Oh, and I forgot that's one of those damn movies they remade in, like, the during the decade of remakes, like, in '05 or something.
Did they I know
Sean
they
Bean. Remember Sean Bean, who
oh,
was, like, in everything, all these, like, B movies back then because he was, fresh off of, like, uh well, I think at the time I know he was in Game of Thrones,
mhm.
but this is before Game of Thrones. This is when he had gotten some steam from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, you're right. 2007, it had,
Yeah, so it was
Sean
it was
Bean.
before Game of Thrones, but after Lord of the Rings, and so he was showing up in all this kinda, like, genre shit, and I went to the theater and saw that movie, and,
How was it?
I don't remember anything about it. It's just, like, I think the only thing I wanna say at the beginning of the movie, I think there was, like, a scene where whoever the victim is, like whoever played the young guy in it or young girl in it in this version. I just remember them like getting out of college or something and then playing the All American Rejects, which
Mm,
dates it to the period, right?
yeah.
Those fucking 1 or 2 songs they had. I'm like, "God, this is so cringe." But, I don't,
Until the day I die. Is
that's not
that
All American
oh, okay,
Rejects.
whatever.
Yeah.
That did you ever end up seeing Hitcher 2 with, Jake Busey, dude?
Was it a sequel to the remake or a sequel to the
Yeah,
original?
it's Hitcher 2.
The sequel to the remake.
No,
The sequel to the original or sequel to
2003,
the
2003
so it's
theaters.
technically a sequel to the
Yeah,
original.
yeah, C. Thomas Howell's in it.
Oh,
Yeah.
he is?
Yeah,
Wait, you're telling me that C. Thomas Howell got himself in this fucking situation again?
yes.
Another hitcher found him, and he picked up another hitcher?
I never saw it,
The
but
fuck is the matter with him? Is C. Thomas Howell the hitcher this time? Like, how would you even get
I
this
don't
predicament?
remember. It came out in 2003, dude.
I could the only way I could see that working is somehow C. Thomas Howell was, like, trying to trap hitchers. Like, he's so traumatized from what happened during the hitcher and his
Straight
girlfriend.
to DVD. They do a lot of flashbacks, it looks like.
So maybe he just shows up in flashbacks? Or, like,
No,
maybe
I think he's
like,
actually in it.
Jake Busey's like, "That's right. The hitcher was my dad, and I'm here to get revenge on you, C.
I
Thomas."
think Jake Busey was the killer, dude.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's probably what if he's like he was getting revenge, like the hitcher Howard was my
Oh,
dad.
Carrie
I'm here.
Warher, dude, she was in it.
Oh
We
wow,
seen
yeah.
her at,
Yeah, yeah. I don't have that
the
interview because
convention,
you
dude.
lost all my interviews, but she uh she was a total babe and thinner.
Yeah.
She was a bit of a plastic mess when I saw her, but I still would. But I think she was like pushing Sharknado movies then with A-lister Ian Ziering. But, anyway, yeah, I just don't see how that could work unless it was like a Scream 2 revenge plot. Like, how does C. Thomas get in that position again? Or, like I said, if C. Thomas Howell was like now like a To Catch a Predator and he's like catching those guys, which kind of reminded me of a really cool story. I don't remember what it was called. It's one of the Masters of Horror. It's the one that stars that what's that chick from The Craft and Bobby Boucher, Farua, what's her fucking name? I can't say her name. I don't know how to pronounce it. The one that plays
Yeah, I know you're talking about. I don't know her
the gap
name.
in her teeth.
Yeah.
She's in this one, and it's a really cool story. Actually, it's a hitcher story. It's about this guy. He's hitching a ride, and he picks up and a hitchhiker picks him up. And you know what they always say? They always say never pick up hitchhikers, right? Right.
Mhm.
We've all seen that go bad a lot. But then you can always have like a large Marge situation where they also say you shouldn't hitchhike because some fucking crazy guy. This is about a driver picks up a hitchhiker who's a serial killer, but the driver's also a serial killer.
Oh, nice.
And
Okay.
so two serial killers actually fucking meet. They're both fucking like looking for, because sometimes you pick, the guy picking up the hitchhiker is like Henry Lee Lucas, and they're trying to
Yeah.
kill prostitutes. But so it's actually a brilliant idea, and it's these two fucking like spy versus spy, like two fucking serial killers catch themselves in each other's spider webs, and it's a fucking great idea.
Oh, that is solid.
What is this? I think that his girlfriend lets the new hitcher in. Yeah, I bet that's written really well.
Yeah. I need to watch that because I'm a Busey guy, so
Yeah, so you're loyal to the soil. You're loyal to the soil. You're loyal to his
I'm
loins.
loyal to the Buseys.
Yeah, it's like Gary Busey. It's like, man, I don't care. His son, whatever, sign me up. His son's in it. So what about like how deep does that go? So if Jake has a son, are you gonna watch Jake's son's movies?
Absolutely. Anything with the Busey gene, I am watching.
Jake Busey does the cons. I want to say Jake was at he was either at Crypticon or I think he was at that first Arizona one you went with me to.
Really?
Yeah. He was
Oh,
at I've never been to a con. Well, that's a lie. I've been to cons without you, but no, this is a con that me and you went to. He was either at the last time we were at KC Crypticon
hmm.
where Will and Zach were there. Or it was the first time you came down for Mad Monster. He was at one of them. and it was like the greatest hits, man. You had like fucking Kim Coates, you had the guy that's in this with the big floofy hair, the fat
I
guy.
remember
You
Kim
know,
Coates,
it's just
yeah.
Skid Row of con fucking cockroaches, con roaches, as I like to call them. And Jake Busey was right next to Kim Coates. I remember.
Oh, man, I
I
should've
wouldn't give him money, but okay. I love, you know,
I'd love to
Starship
talk to
Troopers
Jake.
as much. I love
Yeah.
Starship Troopers as much as the next guy, but now Gary Busey would be too hard to resist because he's so
Oh,
fucking great. I don't think he's welcomed any cons anymore after he
he
has supposedly groped
he's
somebody.
welcome on the show anytime. If he wants to come on, I'd love to talk to
Talk about
Gary
buttered
Busey.
sausage for 2 hours, dude.
I
Oh,
would
I'm adding him to the list, dude.
oh, I'd love it, dude.
Dude, like, what do I even
We
say?
need to
Like,
revive his career, dude. Say that we don't care about
Eagles, we
his
have the hey, Mr. Busey, I'll type up the letter now. We have the power to jumpstart your career like nobody
yes.
else.
We
Well,
did
as good as you're
JDF.
gonna get, because you're not going on the Tonight Show. But I'm
We got JDF millions of followers after he came on our interview, and I think we can revive your career too. That's why we're Revival House, because we
oh
revive
yeah.
old careers, dude.
That's what we should tell. That's what we should tell. Like, what's the name mean? Like, well, we're here to, you know, give you some work, buddy. You can't even
Oh,
I mean, he needs it because he can't even get cons anymore because he burned that bridge. That's where you go when you're gonna die. It's like I'm gonna when your career's dead, you go to the cons, and he had to go and fondle up and touch somebody up. And if we get Gary Busey on, you might ask, well, what's he promoting? So no, he's not promoting anything. I'm pretty sure he's promoting retirement.
I
So
hope he promotes his book, dude, Buseyisms, dude.
does he have a book? He has a book. Well, we can
Yeah,
talk.
yeah, he it's called, I think it's Gary Buseyisms, so he has acronyms in his book,
Uh
and one of his acronyms is FART, feeling erectile transmission.
okay. So
He,
if
like, comes up with a bunch of acronyms, dude.
I don't think he has too much to promote, so we'd have to, like, just angle it as, "Hey, we wanna talk about your body of work," like we're James Lipton inside the actor's studio, we wanna honor your whole body of work, or I suddenly do a 180 and I become Diane Sawyer and I start grilling him about his scandals, like, "So did you really do it? Tell me how it went. Did you touch her?" We get all this like, "Oh, and, you might it might be elder abuse because he's, like, a little not all there. What if he, like, just gets I just have a feeling he doesn't do interviews anymore. Does he have a caretaker?
I don't know.
Or is he really just, like, independent and he's taking care of himself? Because he's really bad. I don't see him doing any interviews. You'd think he would be doing a lot of interviews because he's not getting work. I mean, I just don't know. So, and if he did do an interview, I bet you he'd have a handler. I think he'd have somebody there or somebody that would, like, talk to me first before they let him off the leash, and be like, "Hey, don't ask about this." And I'm pretty sure if we stepped out of line and tried to
There's no way because he would just go off the rails, dude. Every interview that I heard from him, he I mean, the handler couldn't control him, man. He'd just go off the rails.
That's so funny, Giggles. He never recovered from the beatdown Meatloaf put on him. I love that. I love that.
Yeah,
Was that surreal? Which reality show was that again? Was it Celebrity Big Brother
I think it
or?
was one of those, yeah.
And I love that video, dude. I love that video. And you know what? That's why I can't be Team Busey because I'm Team Loaf. And he was a little shit on that show. And Loaf, he's got it. He's always documented of having he had an anger problem, RIP. And dude, fucking you put 2 alpha dogs in the room like that, like, Busey was straight up just doing some bullshit, dude. He was, like, fucking with him, taking his shit, teasing him, and then, causing my buddy the loaf look bad,
Well,
but,
that's why we love Busey.
I would ask him about that. Like, "Hey, so, did you and me loaf ever make amends?" You know, 'cause,
RIP.
I kinda regret I don't think I could've, but I would've loved to, 'cause Meatloaf had an acting career. I
Yeah,
would have loved to have been able to talk to Meatloaf, man.
yeah.
Absolutely, and he's great in you watch him in Pelts talk I've brought up Masters of Horror so many
Black
damn times.
Dog.
No, but I brought up Master of Horror so many damn times on this, podcast, it's so weird, but see, Pelts was Argento,
Yeah,
and it's so weird to watch those Argento because they're totally American. It's like American Argento, and it's odd, right? Because that series, it's just kinda odd, but, he's so good in that, man. Yeah, I think we should get Gary Busey on, and we should get a Ouija board and try and talk to Try and talk to Meatloaf and see,
That'd be my number one interview, talking to Gary Busey, because he's just so crazy, man. I love it.
Pretty sure Loaf apologized on the same show and said he felt bad for losing control. Okay, well, there's that. Well,
He's the bigger
anyway,
man, I guess,
yeah,
or the bigger
we'll
loaf.
see. As Bob is my witness, I got it. If I can't get the furlong, I'm gonna try and get the Busey man. I tell you what, the Busey could talk about so many films. That guy was in everything
Mhm.
in the 80s and the 90s, dude. Anything that mattered, you could just run down the list, dude. It's crazy that it had to have been the injury that put his
It was
career
the
to a stop.
motorcycle accident. He died, he said, and then he came back to life.
But the brain damage he got from that, he was never the same. His look
Yeah.
was never the same. It's just everything because he was in movies all the way up until like mid 90s, Black Sheep and Drop. So he
Mhm.
was in all these movies and then it just stopped. And I don't know what year the accident was, but it has to have coincided. It has
Yep.
to. And I just think his career would have kept going. But anyway, thank you guys for joining us. And if you already haven't heard, if you're listening to this live, Friday, we will be doing Riverman. Do you want to announce what we're doing? Brrr. One of his favorite.
Zombie, Lucio Fulci, Zombie.
Awesome. So we're gonna be doing that, and we're gonna be doing it at are we doing it at the same time or are we doing it late? Fridays you do later, right?
10:30.
You want
So,
to do 10?
yeah, we'll be doing Fulci Zombie on, Friday, and I'm excited because, I don't think we've ever covered Fulci Zombie or did a
No,
commentary on it.
10:30 CST. And I'm
Yeah,
expecting Riverman to really have a lot to say because this is one of his favorite movies.
yeah.
He's very studious about Zombie.
Mhm.
I've only ever watched it once, but I watched it recently. I'll watch
Really?
it again. Yeah, I like it.
It's
I have
streaming on Tubi, so, yeah. We'll,
and it was on Shutter too, at least it
okay.
was. So it could be on Shutter as well. You can watch it with Joe Bob, I know if that's still up there. But, anyway, so we're gonna be doing these streams. We're gonna start doing trying to do twice a week. We're gonna see what it's up for a few weeks, but, we're having a good time. Thank you everybody that joined us. And if you're listening to this after the fact, most likely the zombie stream has already happened and it might be out as well. So check it out. Let me read one last more. Loaf was more mad at the producers for intentionally trying to get these blows. Yeah, and that's what it always is. It's always the producers like instigating everything. So but anyway, guys, enough Loaf. We'll catch you guys later. Bye.
See you guys.